Only 3 players won the first division of a CCT event this season. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave was one of them. On his way there, he victimized the other 2. His last 3 match wins all came against Magnus Carlsen and Alireza Firouzja.
He does it! A crazy move in this crazy match.
It was the Crunch Labs Masters in July. He beat Carlsen in their winner's semifinal, Firouzja in the winner's final, and Firouzja again in the grand final.
This is incredible form by Maxim. We're seeing the best version of him.
There was no guarantee Vachier-Lagrave would even get the opportunity. In the previous event, the Chess.com Classic, he wasn't even in the first division. He was in the second, but won it all, thus earning Division 1 status in the Crunch Labs Masters.
And then the stretch, the power stretch.
That is evil, David.
After 3 of the 4 circuit events, MVL was already in the finals. For good measure, he finished 4th in the last event, securing 3rd place in the overall standings. If you are tempted to think that these finals are a 2-man race, think again. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is here, and he is dangerous.
I feel like I'm a judge in one of the cooking shows. Like, you know what I came here for.
Yeah.
Oh, so what is this?
Whoa.
Oh.
Should I try?
What is this?
Oh. Here you go. You don't have to finish it. Just a taste if you want. Cutlery as well.
Yeah, okay.
Enjoy.
Okay, so now you're growing up like so rapidly.
So these are some shrimps, and they're glazed with some egg.
Okay, there's some peas, some carrots. And I'm actually making a mess, but alright.
I'm officially giving up, like I'm just clueless, apparently.
I'm scared to bite it.
Oh, this is really big.
Don't feel like you have to eat it all, by the way.
It's dinner right here.
In Russian we have something like it calls холодец.
I think this is like quite similar to what we do in Russia, but in Russia we normally do this with meat. It's like coming home without coming home, yeah?
So you prefer the Russian version?
No, I don't like it.
This jelly stuff, I love the texture.
This jelly kind of thing is not my favorite texture, but still I like the taste quite well.
I mean, it's alright.
Like 1.5 out of 5. I didn't really like this one.
This one I'm not such a big fan.
This is great. Yeah, straight to the 5, I guess. Do you have some more?
My father loves to make things like this, especially during the winter. I'm a happy guy. This is my country. You know, the fish and vegetables. 5 out of 5.
It's amazing. I'll give this a 5.
Magnus Carlsen has never not won the Champions Chess Tour. Now he's going for his 5th straight title. Carlsen is in an unusual position this year. He's not leading the pack coming into the finals. He was, however, the only player to win 2 CCT events this year. In February, he claimed the Chessable Masters. Then in October, the Julius Baer Generations Cup. Carlsen also finished 2nd in the Chess.com Classic and 4th in the Crunch Labs Masters. He was fought valiantly every step of the way by Alireza Firouzja. In the Chessable Masters, Carlsen was initially obstructed by Firouzja in the grand final. But in the reset, a 2-0 sweep earned the Norwegian the victory. That wasn't even Magnus's closest call of the tournament. He needed Armageddon to advance against Vladimir Fedosiev. In the following event, the Chess.com Classic, Carlsen made the grand final again, but this time Firouzja got the best of him. In 2 Armageddon, Firouzja won 2 matches to swipe the title from Carlsen. Even so, for Carlsen, just 2 successful tournaments effectively guaranteed his spot in these live finals. He would have qualified even if he sat out the last 2 tourneys. But Carlsen didn't rest on his laurels, claiming another victory in the Julius Baer Cup. Once again, Firouzja was Carlsen's top rival. Carlsen swatted him away in the winner's final, but faced him once again in the grand final. This time, Magnus did not need a reset, just 1 more match, 1 more win, 1 more tournament. Ho-hum. Will we see yet another CCT Finals victory as well? As Carlsen demonstrated in his path through this year's Champions Chess Tour, he's always a threat.
In the heart of Oslo, the chess world has converged to witness a clash of titans in the ultimate battle of wit, the Champions Chess Tour.
Oh my god! And Magnus cannot believe it!
At the helm stands Norway's pride and the tour's undisputed king, Magnus Carlsen.
Magnus Magic. How many times do we say that, Tanya? Every single game.
But the hometown hero can't rest easy. A star-studded field is here to take Carlsen's crown. Alireza Firouzja, the young prodigy.
Alireza has done the unimaginable.
The future of chess. He twice defeated Carlsen to win the Chess.com Classic. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, the French Grandmaster, whose blazingly fast style toppled Firouzja in the Crunch Lab Masters.
There we go. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is the winner of the Crunch Labs Masters.
Jan Nepomniachtchi, the two-time world championship contender.
He's chosen the wrong square.
Wow, black leaves the bishop hanging and Jan blundered.
This is a battle of minds. Every move is a masterpiece in the making. It's the climax of the biggest online chess event of the year. The Champions Chess Tour final decides who is the king of rapid chess.
You never see this. Absolute hats off.
This is immortality stuff.
It's the Champions Chess Tour Finals, live from Oslo, Norway, and it starts right now.
It's day 4 of the Champions Chess Tour in Oslo, the beautiful capital of Norway. Carlsen, MVL, Nepo, and Alireza are all in the hot seat today at the semifinals, as the semifinals begin. Myself, James Canty III, I'm here with Grandmaster David Howe and Tanya Sachdev. It's the semifinals. How do we feel today?
It's going to be good. It's going to be lit. We've got 4 fantastic players with us, and I can't wait for the chess to begin.
We started with 8, we're down to 4, and then at the end of today, we'll only have our finalists left. And it comes down to this, right? It's the home run of the season-long tour.
What are you looking forward to the most today? We got 6 games, right, per match here. What's so exciting about today?
Oh, I think it's just the fact that there are so many fans downstairs. I was there checking out the vibe, and I mean, they're all out in force now to support their home favorite Magnus Carlsen. When he sits down, there's always fire on the board. The other semifinals, not bad too.
What about you, Tanya?
No, the atmosphere is absolutely electric here. I love that chess is being played in front of a live audience. And we've got 2 incredible matchups, right? With Magnus taking on Maxim and Alireza against Jan. It's going to be a fiery, feisty day of chess.
You know, Magnus and Alireza finished at the top of the round robin, having an early finish yesterday, and Magnus picked MVL for the semifinals. Are you recovered from everything that happened yesterday, David?
It was breathless. We actually saw so much. It feels like it went on for weeks. We saw the end of the round robin stage, of course. We had to say goodbye to Levon Aronian, Wesley So, then those dramatic knockouts, saying goodbye to Denis Lazavik, Vincent Keymer. But in the end, I think 4 deserved semi-finalists.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see that how in the survival stage, experience prevailed over youth, right? Because we had Maxime and Jan surviving the survival, and it was the end of the road for Denis and Vincent. And then we had Magnus taking his pick, and it was a tough one between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who he wants to play against in the semi-finals. And I just want to say one thing, you know, it's a reward for finishing at the top of the table in the all-play-all stage. Magnus gets the pick, but it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you've got to prove your pick.
You have to prove it, of course, as Jan got it done in the first match yesterday, and MVL sped through the survival stage, winning without an Armageddon in both, in fact. So, I mean, it's understandable. Denis Lazavik made a very impressive 5th place at this event. And, you know, what do you think Lazavik is missing that he couldn't make the playoff, David?
Well, I guess there's a few things. He's missing that experience that the top players have in these really crunch matches. Just to hold your nerve, to kind of time it when you take risk, when you go for it. Denis yesterday, we saw him against Jan Nepomniachtchi, for example, start attacking when it was a bit too late. He didn't have the ammunition. I think he was playing with emotion there and nerves, maybe more than objectivity, but he's already leveled up. This year was so much more impressive than last year when he was already in the Champions Chess Tour Finals. 2nd time, maybe 3rd time next year.
Yeah, and he said it himself, right, that he's exceeded his own expectations coming in from it. He was so impressive in the round-robin stage as well. I think experience is a big part of making it through in this event. He's come into the Champions Chess Tour Finals 2 times in a row. Super stuff by him. it comes down to having that more universal style of play. I think, as David mentioned, he's known for his strategic, positional, methodical level, and he's an absolute beast when it comes to that. But then that tactics, the aggressive, the go-for-it moments, I think that's what where experience really counts.
Very important. Let's talk about the other matchup, the big dog matchup that we're all excited for. Magnus against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. David, woo, it's about to be crazy, huh?
Yeah, I cannot wait for this. Magnus Carlsen topping the round-robin stage. By his own admission, though, he wasn't quite at his sparkling best. He got the job done. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave arguably pushed him the hardest in some of those games and has a great track record. Two players born in 1990, two great friends, two great rivals. And yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what they produce when they clash here today.
Maxime actually was giving Magnus some trouble this year, including in their match just a couple days ago. What do you think about Maxime's style that leads to such a strong performance, Tanya?
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I think also for Magnus it was a tough choice to make. Maxime, he's known for his combative decisions, he's fearless. He said it himself when he joined us in the studio yesterday that he's looking forward to a big fight. He loves playing against Magnus. In the round-robin stage, he had Magnus on the ropes. He lost the first game, makes an incredible comeback in that second game, and then almost won the Armageddon. Magnus barely survived with a draw in that one, taking the match. I think Maxime's style of play is such that it forces Magnus into Mikhail Tal's forest of complications, where 2 + 2 is equal to 5.
Or 17.
Or sometimes 17, like you say, and the path out is wide enough for just one. And that's when mistakes happen. That's when you can pounce on them. So I think it's going to be a really fun battle. It's a best of 6, a really long match.
Speaking of that, Magnus won the CCT 4 years in a row here. And having 6 games here, does that hurt him or does that help Magnus? Who does it help, MVL or Magnus there?
Ooh, on paper, more is always better for the stronger player. That means you have a chance for 1 or 2 hiccups along the way. You might have an accident in game 1 and you have enough time to bounce back. In World Championship matches, we've seen it. The shorter matches, a bit more random. Longer matches tend to favour the high-rated player. But then again, this is rapid. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, he's no slouch. He's got the stamina, he's got the energy. 6 games, it's going to really favour the more on-form player today.
Tanya, why did Magnus pick MVL? I could pick anybody in the world here, of course. No, I only had a few too. But of course, at the same time, he picked MVL. Why did he pick MVL?
It's so tough, right? Imagine, James, you go to the gym and you have to make a choice between a high-intensity training session and a heavy weightlifting session. Both are going to be equally exhausting.
I'm doing both, actually, but okay.
So for Magnus, I wonder if that choice also comes from the fact that, everything that happened in the round-robin stage, he's a player who always is looking to avenge himself, for that revenge. He wasn't happy with that match, David, and he wants to fight. He wants to try to take down Maxime now in a convincing manner. And again, a tough pick. And these two have played against each other so many times season long. Every time they match up, it's super entertaining, and it feels like Maxime has his number a lot of times.
Yeah, I guess it's like one of those chess positions where you have 3 moves. You have to choose one of them, but none of them are that tempting. Ultimately, one might be Firouzja, who's given Magnus so much difficulty over the years. And Jan Nepomniachtchi played a World Championship match, so Maxime, it's just going to be fascinating. I think we are really spoiled here with both the semi-finals, and the chess is going to be fiery no matter what. No draws this year on the tour between.
I think a lot of decisive games today, James.
Correct. Well, I'm the same with that. No Armageddons. We can put 100,000 on the side, Tanya. Yes, no, but for me, I'm actually. I think he picked MVL because it's more of a challenge. It's like, okay, yeah, you beat me before, but you know what, big dog? Let's do this for real, right? And I think he wants to really prove himself against MVL there, even though he has the plus score on Jan. He's like, hey, it is what it is. MVL beat me before. I'm going to show everyone in my hometown here that I'm going to be able to beat MVL. Now, let's get into our next matchup. Of course, we got Alireza versus Jan. Ooh-wee, that's a spicy one too as well. David, what do you think about that?
Oh, this one is tough to call. Alireza Firouzja, after a slow start to the round-robin stage, really turned on the form, turned on the style, and likewise for Jan Nepomniachtchi, on a hot streak now of 4 match wins in a row. So this one, it's going to be 2 confident players, 2 fighters who really like dynamic chess. And again, it's hard to predict. It's just about who starts fastest, potentially.
Yeah, and in the all-play-all, it was Alireza who finished second and Jan who finished third, right? And it was only because Alireza beat Jan in the round-robin, having better tie breaks. So it's going to be a very, very big fight. And we've got their head-to-head, and we see that Alireza actually leads 2-0 with 4 draws in this best of 6. Once again, given their style of play, I'm actually surprised we even have 4 draws between these 2 players, because when they're on the board, it's always fireworks. So even when the result is peaceful, the position's often anything but.
And of course, Nepo has yet to win a CCT event this year, and he has a lot to prove against these players. Do you think that's motivating him, David?
Yes, definitely. Jan, he's unfortunately picked up this kind of reputation of being the nearly man. He made it to the World Championship finals twice, fell both times. He's almost become World Rapid Champion, almost World Fischer Random World Champion. He's always there or thereabouts. So I think this really is something that he wants. He wants to be able to prove himself against the very best.
Tanya, what do you think?
Yeah, this match is also a clash of generations, right? And I think the older lot, as we can call them right now, for Jan, they always want to hold guard and kind of proving themselves that we're not just done yet, And Jan, we've seen him. He's so chill when he comes on the board here. He's vibing to his music. He's playing the aggressive chess. And I think he enjoys playing a player like Alireza because it's also a big challenge, the positions that the players get. It's not going to be a positional, slow, strategic match. I think it's going to be fireworks start to finish.
I think as well. And also there's money on the line. As me and Tanya over here are side betting 100,000 per match, and I'm up a lot of money.
One-sided bet.
I'm up every time. I'm up every single time. Tanya has sent me some money already, so it's awesome. But let's check out what kind of cash actually is on the line for these players. And our prize fund is presented by Julius Bayer, the official wealth management partner of the Champions Chess Tour. Let's take a look at that. Woo! Big money up there, 200,000. Tanya got me for that 100,000. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All the way down to the 5th and 8th place there. Cool. I mean, even per match win, it's $1,000 there. That's nice. A lot of these prizes have already been distributed. That's a lot of money for the kid like Lazavik. What is he going to do with that? Wow, that's a lot, David. What do you think Lazavik is going to do with that money?
He's going to invest it in training to try to become the world chess champion, of course. It's nice to see. It's nice to see these prizes.
And thank you one more time to Julius Bayer, a founding partner of the CCT. That's awesome. A lot of money up there, of course, as well. It's pride, it's money on the line, and of course, the ego of saying that I won. I've been able to beat my compatriot as well. So let's get a shot of the playing hall there. And as we see, everybody's there, hype, ready to go. Who is that sitting over there? Ready to go.
It's got to be Alireza, right? He's always the first to arrive. Is it Alireza?
Looks that way.
Maxime walking in. By the way, today is worth $50,000 for the player. A minimum of $50,000 guaranteed if they make it. 50,000 more if they make it to the finals. So a lot of money on the line, pride on the line.
Yep.
The CCT Tour being crowned the king on the line. And we've got Jan back with his same sweatshirt, which has the off written on it. He's got to get the chess on. Do you think he's superstitious?
Jan is definitely superstitious. This is something he's been doing ever since I first played him in the Boys European Under-10 Championship. Wow. He never changes things up if he's on a winning streak.
So you're saying he doesn't, like, he wears the same clothes every day? Is that what you're saying, David? Are you talking? Wow.
Yes.
But he did convincingly sail through yesterday in the survival stage, made it through with his win against Denis Lazavik here into the semifinals. Why change up what's working for you? Why fix what's not broken?
I do want to change my clothes, but that's okay. Hey, listen, it is what it is. But hey, we have a live audience here, as everyone knows. And Mike Klein is out there with the live audience. Let's see what he's doing out there.
Thanks, Canty. We are back here, and there is barely an empty seat in the house. In fact, they only got to see Magnus for about one game yesterday. Today, they get Magnus for about 3 or 4 hours. You guys excited? All right. They're getting there. They're getting some instructions. I think they want to see the hometown hero. And you know what? Between Magnus and MVL, they've actually played 6 games in the Champions Chess Tour this year. And I'm just going to ask a trivia question here of one of the fans. Excuse me, sir. Hello. What's your name?
Sorry?
What is your name?
Jason.
Okay, so Magnus and Maxime have played 6 games so far in the Champions Chess Tour this year. How many do you think have been decisive?
I have no idea.
Actually, all 6. Okay, so if that is any indication, we're going to see some fire-breathing chess today. Maxime and Magnus, along with the other match, is going to be quite hype. I can't even find a place to sit. I'm going to have to go back to the press area. So that's the view from the spectators area. Now back to you guys.
Wow. Hey, man, that's nice. Didn't they sound so hype? Yay, yay. Oh, my goodness, I'm so hyped. It was just awesome to be here. Now, of course, chess fans are not used to a live audience, which we are bringing more of that here at chess.com. We're doing way more of the live audiences. So, of course, at some point, you at home, too, as well, you can scream in your own room or whatever, just to get hype. But these players look ready to go, huh?
Maxime, as always, coming before Magnus right now. Magnus, the last to enter the Gladiators arena. Alireza ready as well. And you know, with Magnus's pick, right, it's like throwing the gauntlet and saying, Maxime, I pick you. And for Maxime, will he be able to flip the script? Will he be able to come? Because this is also the kind of matchup where you can prepare against a player. It's a best of 6 today. They play against each other. So I'm also really interested to see what kind of openings they bring on. And speaking of bringing on, the swag is on as Magnus Carlsen does arrive. Handshakes.
The swag is on for Magnus. Swagness.
Swagness. He's ready.
Okay, headphones on here. Looks like game's about to begin any moment.
And you know, Mike said that earlier, that they've had 6 decisive games between each other. We saw that in their head-to-head as well, in the round robin, how it went. Are we expecting 6 decisive games in this one, in the best of 6?
It could happen. It could happen. They've also played some Armageddons. Those weren't counted there in those 6 games. But Armageddon here, after 6 games, much less likely. It's about who starts fastest. Then you can kind of shut up shop. You can kind of go solid and try to bully your opponent into taking risks. But either way, we've seen them just land punches on each other throughout the years.
And what do you think, James? You know, when you know that your opponent has handpicked you to play against, would that motivate you even more?
I'm not gonna lie, every time that's happened, yes, I was more motivated, and you know, I'm very calm and cool about it, but I'm really like, oh, I'm about to work this guy. You know, that's how I am. You pick me? All right, let's go, right? Like, you get a little bit more amped and motivated, and I think MVL is ready for that. I'm sure he's prepped, but he also is, again, playing Magnus Carlsen, which he has actually, you know, if we looked at our head-to-head there, it was 3-3. It was all decisive, no draws, in fact. So these guys, you know, can really hit each other. Magnus can hit him, and MVL will hit him right back. And it's a form of chess boxing here in a way, as they can definitely strike every single game. Every single one of these games can be decisive today. It's possible.
Maxime looks focused. Yesterday in the studio, he was tired, of course, but there was a steely determination about him. And there we go. It's a handshake. Clocks start, and Magnus opens with the English opening. Pawn to c4. Maxime getting ready already to Fianchetto, hoping to transpose maybe into his favorite Grunfeld defense.
Yeah, this is his favorite setup, right? Put that dark squared bishop on the longest diagonal. It is the idea of the Grunfeld. And we see Magnus as well aiming for the same. Put that bishop in g2 and a bit of copycat chess now.
Yeah, it's a symmetrical English opening, copycat chess. Both sides just bringing out their pieces. Okay, Maxime bringing out a different knight this time. But yeah, this is a slower start to the game. It shows that Magnus doesn't want to knock out Maxime in the opening. He's going to push the tension towards later in the game. We'll see some maneuvering potentially. We see now the world number 1 choosing what to play, which piece to develop. And yeah, I think for Maxime, this might be a bit of a surprise, but also a relief that Magnus isn't going directly for his throat in the early stages.
Yeah, and Magnus taking an early think right now, deciding where to place pieces, because you've got 2 options, right? You could put that knight on the natural square in front of the f-pawn, knight to f3, or you could aim to get it in front of the king with the move like e3 and knight e2 and then strike in the center as well. So 2 different plans. But an early think by Magnus, does that surprise you, having the time to prepare?
Slightly, but that is Magnus's style after all. We'll check back in on that opening, but this game has started at quite the tempo. We see a Petrov defense, pawns disappearing, now a set of knights being traded off as well. This is Nepomniachtchi's trademark, something he has been rehearsing for years. He's used this in the World Championship match, the Petrov, with a lot of success.
And this is my favorite Petrov, David, where we get opposite side castling, because we know that it's not going to be a solid, slow game. They're going to go for each other's kings, and that's always fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. And I'm hoping we see some attacks, or we see some flexing from Firouzja potentially. And here, the bird's eye view. Very different games here, the 2 boards alongside each other. One, which is clearly a battle of homework, of home cooking. On the right side of your screens there, Alireza Firouzja and Nepomniachtchi, they've studied this position before. Most likely, they've revised this position before this morning with computers, with seconds, whereas Magnus Carlsen freestyling.
And that's really interesting what you say, because I think here in Oslo, Alireza is the only one who's come with a second. I'm sure the other players have got, you know, their trainers, their seconds helping them. But there's Grandmaster Ivan Shapovalov, who's on site with Alireza. We've seen him second him for so much of this year, and what a year Alireza has had with him.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic year. The candidates were up and down. Maybe not not the performance he would have quite wanted there, Alireza, but in general for speed chess, very impressive.
What's very impressive is Magnus's last move. That's one knight development move that I wasn't expecting, wasn't on my radar. Knight to h3 on the edge of the board. What is that? What do they say, James? Knight on the edge, fall off the hedge.
I've never heard that one. That's a
one.
nice one, though. But Knight on the rim is very dim or slim, whatever you want to call it, grim. But I did like this idea. I like the creativity that Magnus is trying to bring here with the Knight h3 move. He says, I'm going to bring this Knight to the center of the board via f4, which he does immediately. And, of course, at home, yeah, you can put the Knight on the edge or the Knight on the rim. It's going to be dim, but immediately you should probably move it towards the center within a move or so, as we've seen Magnus do. He went Knight h3, immediately moved it to f4, so now it's closer to the center, eyeing the d5 square. And actually, I think taking MVL out of prep because he stopped to think a little bit there. He's still up on time, but he definitely hesitated, tried to figure out, okay, I wasn't expecting that. What are we going to do? What's your idea? Trying to figure out things here. I like the choice for Magnus.
This has to be over-the-board inspiration by Magnus, right? Look at his clock, 7.5 minutes, already burned 2.5 minutes, and plays this very non-standard knight development move.
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical type of idea in these openings. Magnus has deployed this idea with both white and black. In this type of symmetrical structure, you have a lot of license to freestyle. Magnus loves freestyle chess. He's simply just trying to kind of get the game into unknown waters and then try to kind of argue that he's got superior understanding of this pawn structure compared to Maxime, but that is risky too. And of course, it kind of forces you to consume a lot of time on the clock, just being creative. Being creative is the hardest thing in chess these days, especially in the opening. And Magnus already spending 3 minutes. This game might be the one for Maxime to strike. You've got to catch Magnus early. That's one trend we've seen throughout the Champions Chess Tour over the years. Once Magnus starts rolling, picking up speed, momentum, he's a hard player to stop. But he tends to take a while to warm up.
And how much of a factor is that, right? Because Magnus relatively had a chill day yesterday. He played only one game, while Maxime had to really slug it out, right? He had to first win in the elimination bracket. He beat Vincent, then had to play against Denis, took him down, and a really long day of chess. Is energy going to be a factor today?
Oh, he's in decent shape, though. He's probably spent a bit of time, Magnus, working on chess yesterday. And yeah, it is an issue, though. To be honest, Tanya, I would prefer to be the player who's kind of got that momentum, who keeps playing like Maxime was yesterday. He might have been tired, but his eye is in, as they say, on the chess.
Especially coming out of big wins.
Exactly. Confidence.
Yes.
It's a big boost in chess, right?
I think yesterday, Maxime's chess, it must have added a few pages to any upcoming endgame manual. The way he showed excellent technique in those endgames against Denis Lazavik, you know, just playing it to perfection, something to study.
Something to study.
Magnus and Maxis, you know, like it was the same person yesterday, in-game wise, of course, as Maxime was showing, hey, I can do it too. Now, of course, Magnus does it, known as one of the greatest ever to do it in the in-games, but Maxime was doing the same yesterday. Guys, rook b8 on the board, and okay, bishop b2, and now chat. Okay, they just blitzing out these moves. It's kind of hard for you guys in chat to, you know, actually guess the move here as we want here. Make sure you download Take, right? An experienced chess fandom like never before. Visit go.chess.com/takex3 or use !take in chat. Of course, we want you guys to guess the move. Oh, this is spicy already, David.
Yeah, good luck guessing the move on this one, because for Jan Nepomniachtchi, he might be bobbing his head, enjoying the music, the tunes, but it looks like he's about to face a scary attack. The Black King, a sitting duck here.
Vicious.
Wow, I mean, this G-file is semi-open right now. White has the beautiful bishop pair. Normally, bishops are snipers, kind of staring down the board from afar, but here they're beautifully centralized, looking on both flanks, and the Black Queen looks a bit short of squares. This must be opening preparation, but visually, very appealing for White.
Absolutely. But, you know, David, I'm just trying to go a little deeper into this position. And you spoke about Black's king. The good news is that Black has got a lot of pieces around the king as well, and some very active ones. We see that queen on g4. And the first move that came to my mind for Jan here is move that bishop to g5. I hit your queen on d2, but I also open up my rook, now targeting that central bishop on e4. And my queen happily placed to assist that target.
Yeah, let's jump in. Let's try to get inside Jan Nepomniachtchi's mind right now. He has to defend actively. You cannot just sit and wait for White to come at you, especially a player like Alireza. He'll start attacking. He might push a pawn, attack the Black Queen, slide his rook across. So, Tanya, in talking of guess the move, let's guess that he's going to play bishop to g5, Jan Nepomniachtchi. And this pretty much forces White's hand, I believe. queen forward to d3. This is a double attack. As you mentioned, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop. You can solve that by moving the queen up the board. The most natural response is for black to move the queen over. I'm trying to guess both players' move here, but now white has some choice. So you can come over, go for an endgame, trade off the queens if you want to play it safe. Not the most ambitious move. Probably that would be my choice, but that's my style. Alireza more likely here to keep the queens on and go for the attack a bit later. I'm not sure exactly where he should slide with the queen, but yeah, this is fiery stuff. Ferocious stuff from Firouzja.
Oof, this starts to look very concrete now. You know, you have to be so precise with your calculation here. Really nicely pointed out there that that's actually the only square that white would have after bishop g5. Are you surprised with the clock management here? Because Jan is down to less than 5 minutes. Alireza still around the 9-minute mark. A tough position, but there are a lot of critical decisions for Jan that lie ahead as well.
Yeah, I think clock time, it's really surprising and not great for Jan that he was burning so much time on the clock. I was just about to point out, actually, he plays bishop f6, given a question mark. Maybe he was scared here. Bishop to g5. I just realized you don't need to move the queen.
Yeah, you can play FG. I already knew this. Oh. I'm a Jedi. FG, and then rook takes e4, rook e4. Or, of course, if bishop d2, you go FH, and then you queen with check. You probably mating them there. Probably mating them. So he's going to have to take. But if he takes the queen there, or then you do, rook takes e4, which is a move as well. Then you go rook e4, I think. Or maybe you h7 first. Take on h7, and then we go rook e4, which is nice.
And double attack here if the queen moves.
Yeah, then takes. And, of course, download, take in chat. Thank you. Download them. As I take.
Pawn takes pawn. That would be very awesome. But instead, he decides to play the move bishop to f6. Probably figured that line out and didn't want to go for that, Jan.
Yeah, was a bit scared there of that potential queen sacrifice. Bishop f6 given a question mark. I'm not exactly sure why, but the first move that came to my mind, and partly because I'm desperate to slide the white rook across, is actually this move that Firouzja's just played, pawn to f3. He's freeing up his rook now to come and slide to the g file. He's first of all defending his bishop with gain of time, attacking the black queen, and she is a bit short of squares.
Yeah. Would love to put that queen on f4 and try and trade it off so no attack comes, but then suddenly that bishop on f6 is hanging, so that's not an option for black anymore.
Yeah, so you have basically a choice of two. He plays the more natural move, defends his bishop. So teaming up on the dark squares. White can actually play bishop to f2 if you want to keep the bishops on the board. Normally a pair of bishops, you want to keep them both intact. But yeah, other tempting moves, of course, would be rook to g1, just going straight for the black king, straight for the throat. G for goal, for glory.
Goal!
Yeah, the rook lines up against the king, and there are sacrifices on the g6 square.
Yeah, this looks terrifying. You mentioned the clock times, Tanya. I think it's one of those cases, this is quite typical at top-level chess. They prepare to a certain point, they see the computer says 0.0, and then you stop, or you maybe haven't analyzed too much deeper, you forget what happens next. And it's the type of position here that can quickly go from 0.0 to +3 for white, or winning for white. If you make one small slip, you might just come under a withering attack. So, scary times.
I still wonder if, that other bishop move that we were looking at also seems so tempting, because the line that you pointed out, if you sit down and calculate, there were ways for black to handle. Could have just recaptured the pawn. And did Jan just rush through that decision a little bit?
I think he did, definitely. What do you think, Tanya? You think he rushed through it?
Yeah, because bishop f6, I feel like it just creates a lot of problems now. Rook g1 is a natural move here. Yeah. Suddenly you're looking at attacks. I would love to start attacking white's pieces, and that line with bishop coming to g5, knight jumping in, attacking the queen just seemed like a more forcing option.
Yeah, white's for choice here for sure. I mean, you have the better attack potential to attack. Rook g1 is an awesome looking move, just putting pressure on the g6 pawn with some sacrifices available at some point. On the other hand, black is just defending, and it's tough. I mean, yeah, of course, you have to learn how to defend. That's one thing of being a great player, is learn how to defend difficult positions. But I mean, this is very fun and right up Firouzja's alley. I mean, did we not see the MVL game yesterday, the miniature, after knight takes f8, rook f1, GG, right? That was crazy.
Ooh, and Jan grabbing pawns, but is that pawn poisoned? He's opened up the H file for white's rook here. And he's still bobbing his head. I wonder what he's listening to, Nepomniachtchi here. But he's facing, potential doom. If he's not careful here, he could get knocked out in these next few moves. It's that type of position.
Yeah, and he's got very little time to actually navigate through all the options that you've got. And there aren't too many really to start with. Because if you move that queen to the G line, white can just sacrifice immediately, picking up that knight, opening up the G file and lining up. So he tries to trade off material, but this comes at the cost of the D6 pawn. Even if in this moment, Alireza decides to trade queens. You can level the material, pick up that pawn that's hanging on the d file, and you've got the bishop pair to fight for more active rooks. I think that's endgame, something to play for white.
Definitely something to play for white. And yeah, there are options here. Firouzja, if he wants to go for a direct attack, block this trade of queens. You can keep the queens on the board right now. You can use your dark square bishop, continue harassing that black queen, which is done. It's 10,000 steps today, that's for sure. That black queen on an adventure, but not an adventure that is likely to end in too much joy for black right now. Look at the eval bar. It's on white's side. Firouzja, let's await his decision. And we'll check back in on the Magnus Carlsen game shortly, but that one far less developed. It's an endgame.
Yeah, you know, the moment you pointed out bishop e3, I loved that move because it felt so much more aggressive. But this is sort of that safer option where you go into an endgame where perhaps you're playing for 2 results. So we'll check in with this. I think it's going to be a grind. Speaking of grind, we've got a grind master next to me and playing down there. So what's up on the Magnus board, David?
Yeah, let's jump over to the Magnus Carlsen against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave board. And this one, I think Magnus not enjoying life too much right now. I think it's gone wrong, this opening simply for white, because it's that Swiss cheese pawn formation. It's these pawns not controlling at all the light squares. Watch out for that black knight to jump back where it came from. He's just traded off the light square bishops. The knight has a clear path into a really juicy square. That would be a fork currently. Also, the white knight not stable anymore. We talked about how great that maneuver was by Magnus, but he's getting outplayed, it feels like.
Yeah, he does. He comes back with his knight. And one more plan that I want to point out, often a sort of a minority attack that's possible for black. Maxime can start advancing the a-pawn. A5, and he does it. A5, A4, create a weakness on the left side of the board. It just feels that sort of Maxime is all over Magnus's back right now. You know, more active pieces, more flexibility with the pawn structure. You could have a d5 break, an a4 break, rooks poised perfectly for either of these two. This is advantage Maxime.
Definitely. I've played a lot of these pawn structures actually with both colors, and just having the extra central control. Black has 2 pawns in the center, white with only 1, makes it so much easier. You're so flexible. This is a pawn sacrifice for everyone at home. Pawn takes pawn is possible, but then you break your structure, you lose the integrity of your whole queen side, and black would simply go pawn hunting. Black has got access to the open file if he wants it, this a file now. And with or without knights, I think I would try and keep knights on the board if I were Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, but even with them off, it is a long-term advantage.
And one of the reasons for that is that Maxime has got this backward d6 pawn, but it's harder to get to that. Meanwhile, for Maxime, he's got the a-file to play on, and the b3 target, the other rook can join and start attacking it. The rook can move to a3 as well, target it, the knight from c6 jumping to a5. It feels like Magnus's weaknesses are a lot more accessible for black here.
Yeah, and James, it's not one of those attacking positions for either side, but it looks like Magnus is definitely suffering.
Magnus is going with the h5. Oh, come on, MVL, dang, bro, why you gotta do that, bro? I was definitely about to play h5 takes and rook h1, and he was like, psych, try again. Like, that's exactly what he was saying. I mean, MVL being a very, tactic expert, having vicious attacks himself, he knew exactly what was coming, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to go h5, take, put a rook on the h-file, maybe even double over there. You want to play on the queen side? Cool, I'm going to play over here. h5, take, double the rooks, some type of attack. Maybe knight comes into f4, queen over to e2, which is happening now. So he may try a g4 at some point, but that's going to be very risky to do. But yeah, very nice for Maxime stopping the h5 idea.
For Magnus, it's hard to find a plan, as you mentioned. If you can't attack, what do you do? And, okay, clocks are roughly level. This could become a bit random in a time scramble, but minimal risk here for Maxime Vachier-Lagrave if he just wants to sit and play positionally. I think the idea of bringing his rooks in would be top of the agenda right now. Improve your worst place piece. Black's rooks aren't quite yet as potent as they could be. Okay, he goes for Magnus's backward pawn on the b file. And yeah, this is also a Maxime type of position. It's where he can push with minimal risk and he can calculate his way to kind of setting problems for the opponent later. But for now, Magnus reminding Maxime it's not one-way traffic. He has a weak pawn of his own on the d-file. Okay, predictions here.
Well, he comes back. Are we going to see a repetition at this moment? And will Magnus try for more? Will he just come back with the knight and sort of put the ball in Maxime's court? He doesn't. He goes for the doubling up on the d-line to put more pressure on that d6 pawn. The other rook about to join in. Predictions, David, you were asking for them. James, I'm going to throw it to you.
Shoot, dang, I don't know. I have to keep looking here. Okay, this one, yeah, this is tough. I think this one's going to be a draw overall, though. best play. I think this one's going to end in a draw. And Maxime's getting lower on time too as well, so he might panic a little bit, which is totally normal as a human. Of course, these guys are half human, so you know it's important when you reach a time control like this, or actually closer to under a minute. Yeah, you got 2-second increment, but you know you start getting the jitters. You're like, oh, I'm getting low on time, even though you know Magnus is still low on time too, but he got that extra minute. It's enough time. You might get some jitters. You see, he's hesitation, and then he makes a move here. So
what's the other half? Is what I want to know.
The other half we don't know yet. In fact, that's what we always say about these players, like Hikaru.
I mean, David, Maxime's chess right now does feel like from another planet. He's just walked away with his king, bringing it to the center, using that piece to actually defend a pawn. How many times do you get to see that idea? And Magnus keeps on attacking, putting pressure. The knight on c6, watch out, it's hanging.
Watch out, it's hanging. If the black knight moves now, then the white queen is actually ready to swoop in on the diagonal. So Maxime finds the best move there. But yeah, I mean, don't try this at home. Don't walk your king into the center of the board when your opponent's queens, rooks, and knight are still lurking nearby. But Maxime, for now, has all avenues covered. He's covered every square pretty much in his half. So Magnus, he's pretty maximized his position. Pretty much maximized. That was not intended, that pun. But yeah, Magnus now struggling for a plan as he twiddles with a piece. He does have a small time advantage, though. Can he continue the momentum? It feels like momentum white, although black here totally fine, of course, still.
But it does also feel that this whole idea of getting the king to the center of the board, it exposes Maxime to a lot of tricks, right? Now if the knight moves, queen b7 is not just a check. You end up winning big material as well. Everything's sort of hanging by a thread for black. You know, the king and the rook defending a d6 pawn. The other rook defending the c6 knight. How are you going to generate your counterplay when all your pieces are in defense?
Ooh. He played it. I saw this move, but it doesn't do anything. It's fancy. It's just like fancy, bro. I was like, oh, rook d5, but like, it doesn't do anything. Like, I have no threats.
That's stunning, though.
I mean, it's a nice move, man.
Yeah.
We should point out that rook is poisoned. Do not take that rook if you're Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, because the white knight will replace it with a nasty royal fork, hitting the black king and queen. Ooh, he's coming in. Now there are some threats. If that white rook moves, there's a pin on the e-file. Magnus is trying to create some pressure here. Oh, this is tricky suddenly.
Rook takes pawn, yes, would be a way to get that idea going.
In the meantime, on the other board, it looks like Nepomniachtchi is turning things around.
David, look at that left board, and oh my god, tactics on the board.
Wow. Magnus sacrifices a rook temporarily.
Oh,
and now
found it.
Only one move to survive. Maxime, does he blunder? The white queen's in. Maxime's let this slip. 30 seconds.
Yeah, but the way Magnus set this whole thing up, right? Bringing the rook to the center of the board, putting his queen on that central square, and then just strikes with rook takes pawn, and this is all over. Up a very healthy pawn. It's Maxime's king that's in big trouble now. Checks coming in, picks up another pawn with a check.
Second pawn falls. This is game over. This one, Maxime, you see the shake of the head there. He's under 20 seconds. We will recap that a bit later, that tactical flurry where Magnus tricked Maxime. But it looks like these are the closing stages. As long as he doesn't allow any checks by the black queen to the white king, he's going to centralize. Typical Magnus.
What I liked here the most from Magnus here is that, you know, he waited to MVL got very low on time to start pressuring here. You know, he doubled the rooks. Then he's like, you know what, cool, low on time, rook d5. Then I have this idea of queen e4, and it made it happen. And he blundered in time pressure here. Very classic Magnus here. That was nice. Very good.
Yeah, very impressive. And it was part of a larger plan. He's literally kind of step 1, step 2, step 3 implemented, and then eventually crashed through. But okay, still the finishing touches need to be applied. White has 2 extra pawns. Going back now with his knight.
It's always so tricky when you're playing against a queen and a knight as well. And look at Maxime. He's trying to create his chances against the white king, planting that knight on g4 and also targeting the pawns on the queen's side. So there's work to be done. Magnus doesn't care about his pawns because he cares about Maxime's king right now. He's coming in. f7 is a tender spot. Taking on b3 is what Maxime is calculating. Can he do that? That's playing with fire.
5, 4.
Make a move.
Ooh, he jumps in, keeping the white queen honest. But there's simply no threats here for Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. The white queen now jumps across with a check. Still have to keep the white king safe, though. Still got to be slightly careful.
He's going to come back with the queen on the second rank, keeps everything defended.
Ooh, and now the black king is bare. It has no defenders around it. Can Magnus now deliver the final blow? Where's the checkmate?
He has to find it because that f2 pawn is very weak otherwise.
Checkmate in 4 moves. If he finds it,
I think he has. That's the second move. And that's it. It was checkmate on the next move. Magnus Carlsen finishes the job in style.
Wow. Magnus takes the victory. Really impressive stuff. Really nice finish to it as well. If the white knight was captured, the white queen would have slid across one square to trap the king. And the king of chess, Magnus, the king of the Champions Chess Tour, takes an early lead. In the meantime, the other game still raging on, and it's Jan Nepomniachtchi in the driver's seat with an extra pawn.
Jan's bobbing his head, and you know what that means. That's bad news usually for the opponent. And here we see it's Jan with an extra pawn, a very healthy F passer that can start advancing, assisted by the king and the knight, everything in control. You could step that king up one step ahead. He first activates his rook. Jan Nepomniachtchi enjoying his position. Firouzja with 5 seconds on the clock.
Hesitation and plays.
And he's trying to harass black's pieces, give some checks from the side. He's trying to just stop black from advancing, finding the stability to advance his f-pawn. But for now, it's all under control for Firouzja. It's just a matter of time, though, before the black knight starts getting into the position. To be honest, since we've joined this game, it feels like Firouzja's improved his pieces, especially the white king. Jan's struggling to find the correct plan. But it is a pawn. You just need to nurse it long term.
But I agree with you. White's king has gotten so active. The knight jumps in, the king doesn't stop, now connecting itself to the rook. But is that black pawn about to move up the board? One step at a time. Who's stopping him? F4, F3, it's coming in.
Ooh, he made that move with 1 second, Firouzja. He's trying to blockade the f-pawn, but this is kind of a two-pronged attack. Not only is the black f-pawn moving, but the black king is gravitating towards the white pawns. If he can combine both plans, he might overwhelm white's defenses. There we go, the pawn moving, the black king runs away. It's only a few checks, though. The black pawn 2 squares from touchdown. Look at Jan.
Turned up.
He's about to win. Just push his pawn. White bishop has to block now. Check.
He's calculated his way through. Look at the speed, and he doesn't.
Ooh, Jan. First game, Jan.
With the black pieces. That's a statement, right? To win it in this style. And now this means Alireza and Maxime are trailing. And what a win by both players, right? Jan and Magnus. But for Magnus, it was just so impressive. The way he created those tactics. It was wizardry because it came out of nowhere.
It was absolutely fire. I mean, we loved it with the rook d5. He actually waited too as well to play this stuff until his time got low. As we see on the board, there are a lot of games left. Magnus takes the first one. This is a marathon today. And Jan winning as well. So, of course, not must win for them, but they do want to get back on the board. Them meaning MVL and Alireza. Wow, that was fire, huh, David?
That was crazy. I mean, Magnus, it looked like such a difficult position for him. He was actually on the back foot for most of the middle game, but just after we joined it earlier, starting to turn things around, showing why he's so dangerous in this time format. And meanwhile, for Firouzja, it was a bit of a struggle. Just, again, on the front foot, things turned, and Jan took over.
But Maxime, it looked like he had everything under control, right? When he started, the position that he got out of the opening, we were talking about Magnus's weaknesses, also the clock situation. It was all going well for Maxime until suddenly there were tactics on the board and Magnus was on top of things. Meanwhile, Jan, he was just vibing all the way through with the black pieces. You know, he got that extra pawn, converted it flawlessly in the end, taking that lead. It's pressure on now on Maxime and Alireza.
It's awesome. It's very motivating to watch Magnus play a lot of times too. Is you know, sometimes you get a worse position, but that doesn't mean the game's over. You keep playing, you keep fighting, you look for your chances, be tenacious, and you know, keep fighting, and you get chances, and he finds them almost every single time. Congratulations. That was pretty fire. David, do you have anything from us for that round?
I do indeed.
What you got, David?
I think we need an action replay of that tactical wizardry from Magnus Carlsen, and it was quite the spectacle as he demolished Maxime Vachier-Lagrave's defenses in the space of just 2 or 3 moves. It was here. Black is still totally fine. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave objectively with the advantage with the black pieces because long-term, white has a weak pawn on the queen side. So endgames favoring black. Magnus knew he needed to strike before that. And here he wanted to bring his queen to the center of the board. He wanted to set up a pin here so that he can drop a knight in the center with a nasty fork. But he knew that this would have been met by an offer of a queen exchange. Queen to e5 would have rebuffed the attack, would have brought the game closer to that ending that Vachier-Lagrave so wanted. So Maxime, aware of the opponent, prevented this. First, rook to d5, stopping the black queen from entering the center. Of course, you cannot take this rook due to the family fork here. The king and queen double attacked. Instead, Maxime naively brought his rook forward. We see a question mark appear, and it was after queen to e4 that the warning bells really should have been ringing. Black needed to play the move knight to b4 to actually overprotect the d5 square in advance of any forks. Not just that, to defend his loose rook on the a6 square. Instead, he blundered. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave brought his knight the other direction, the other way, and boom, rook takes c5. Double exclamation mark, a brilliancy, because once the rook was captured, suddenly after a recapture, the black king found itself in two minds. You cannot take with the knight. Again, due to this fork, due to the pin along the e-file, the black king now caught in the crossfire. And likewise, the other way, which actually occurred in the game, allows a check. And next move, the white queen snapped up the rook. Magnus won a pawn, went on to win the game.
Thought that was actually very beautiful there due to one concept called loose pieces, lose games. Loose meaning undefended. If you watch some of the top players here, their pieces are usually generally all defended. He found that tactic on the undefended piece, the rook on a6. He was able to cash in on that game. Mike Klein actually caught up with Magnus after that game, 1 win. So let's see what he had to say.
We're with Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen, who won his first round game against MVL. You had some weak light squares, but then you centralized your pieces, and of course you found the tactic. What was the turning point in the game?
Yeah, as you said, I think he played really well for quite a while. I don't feel I had any advantage. I was more kind of even trying to hold for a little bit there. But yeah, it was kind of more a typical game of Maxim, to be honest, like where you just play good moves and then all of a sudden you win tactically. So it was nice to beat him that way. And of course, when I started to go for like rook d5, queen e4, and so on, yeah, I was looking for these tricks, and I thought there was a serious chance that he might fall for this one, as he was getting short on time, and it's not a very intuitive trick.
And in your games against Maxime this year in the Champions Chess Tour, I believe you're 7 out of 7 in decisive non-Armageddon games. Any reason why you two guys play such decisive chess?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this game kind of looked like it might not be decisive, but, you know, apparently it wasn't meant to be.
And finally, you don't often get to pick your opponent. Can you tell us what went into your decision to pick MVL over Nepomniachtchi?
I was very unsure, so I rolled the dice, and it was MVL.
It's working out well so far. Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen, now back to you in the studio.
You know, I think Magnus is such a chess player that even he looks like a chess piece. Like with his hair like that, I immediately thought a knight. And that's what he reminds me of right now. Just a knight jumping around. You can't catch him. And he does whatever he can on the board there. Now he comes in, and game 2 is about to start very soon.
So Magnus, the knight. Will Maxime this time, though, be able to strike back? Tanya, you mentioned it earlier. In the round-robin stage, Maxime fell behind, but immediately came back with the white pieces. He mentioned in the studio yesterday he's been able to apply a lot of pressure on Magnus, especially in the Spanish opening. So it feels like it's definitely plenty of chances still ahead.
Yeah, Maxime's done it before, not just in the finals, but in the Champions Chess Tour so many times where he's gotten the win with his back against the wall. You know, he's made those comebacks against Magnus, and he doesn't need to look for inspiration on anyone else but himself. He's done it against Magnus. He needs to bounce back. He starts with white. That's the good news. Also in game 1, you know, with the black pieces, he got a great position. I want to point out one moment from there. Maxime offered a repetition. It was around move 26, and Magnus actually declined it. He didn't repeat moves. And that's sort of when things started falling apart. Psychologically, perhaps Maxime was expecting it, but he's got to leave all that behind because it's go time. Handshakes, game 2 is on.
Let's go. Okay, it's the King's Pawn opening. Magnus switches it up. He suffered a lot against Maxime in the King's Pawn opening a few days ago. And this time it's a Sicilian potential accelerated dragon. Ooh, and a c3 move appears. James, you love this opening, right?
You do too, in fact, David. We've actually talked a lot about c3 Sicilian for the kill. You can actually get that free lesson on chess.com as well. I think it's free, maybe premium, but of course it is on chess.com. c3 Sicilian is a very fun line. I have never in my life seen this a6 move, and I've played this so many times, and never have I ever seen a6 right here. Love to see it from Magnus.
Also, never have I ever heard the word Alpin, C3 Sicilian, and fun in the same sentence.
Yeah, I think only me and David Howe make it fun here. There's some very aggressive ways to play the c3 Sicilian for the kill here. That's why I like to call it that, because you can definitely get some very, very fun positions here. But yeah, this is weird. H3, A6 very early. I mean, these are useful moves, but never seen it like this. Bishop B5 can't be played. Also, Bishop G4 can't be played. So this one's going to be interesting.
You're missing out, Tanya. That's all I can say. This type of position has plenty of potential for both sides. White has Connect 4, my favorite game. So therefore, I like White's position right now. The pawn on e5 does kind of cut the board in half for now. So, wow, pawn to g3, unexpected. But Magnus can choose at the right moment to try and challenge the head of that white pawn chain, to try and break it down, to try and free his pieces. I believe this a6 move, or this idea, was popularized by Hikaru Nakamura just last year. So, yeah, it's a bit of an odd position. Both players kind of freestyling, but for now, Maxime, again, winning the opening battle with an extra minute, while the other game about to begin. Okay, Jan.
And Alireza is the one who needs to bounce back in this one. Jan with the white pieces, he's thinking about his opening approach. It's 3, 2, 1, and is it going to be the King's Pawn opening? It is, and it's another Sicilian.
Probably, I was going to say Najdorf. I know Firouzja definitely grew up a lot on Najdorf as he was rising through the ranks. We saw a lot of brilliant Najdorfs from him, but with the e6 option, maybe, you know, keep him flexible here. You can go Khan, you can go Taimanov Sicilian. Let's see what he picks.
Well, I'm happy to see an open Sicilian on the board, I will say that. So it's Queen C7. This is all very standard theory so far. It's also a great opening choice by Black when you're not looking for long theory lines, you know, those 25 moves which are home prep, and it becomes slower. Black wants to expand on the queen side with that B pawn moving forward, place the bishop on that long light square diagonal. Gives a lot of hope. There are a lot of times when I've been in must-win situations, this has been my opening of choice.
Yeah.
With the black pieces.
Taimanov variation, named after Mark Taimanov. And yeah, this is something Magnus actually recommended to me. He was like, if you want to avoid theory, if you don't want to get checkmated immediately, but you still want to play a dynamic Sicilian, this is the one for you. I never took his advice, but clearly Firouzja, 1 point behind in their match. He wants to fight while not taking too much risk. Magnus, since we left that game, he hadn't moved for almost 2 minutes, eventually bringing his bishop out. Okay, where do we go? 2 Sicilians, 2 potentially exciting games in store for us.
I definitely want to go to that Jan game just because I know it's fun. I never heard that actually from Magnus too as well. So David, anything that Magnus has told you, you can tell us at any time. But there's fun stuff that I've seen in this Taimanov Sicilian, like with knight f6, you can go g4 in a lot of lines. So I'm curious to see if he's going to actually do that and go for this, you know, exciting kingside attack type of stuff. So he goes knight takes instead, so maybe there won't be any g4, but there is some very fun lines here for white.
Yep, some very fun lines. Potential pawn sacrifices in the air as well. White's king's pawn often does try to step up the board just to clamp down. You can also try to bring your bishop to this diagonal to challenge Black's queen right now. The Black queen and bishop battery along this diagonal, very strong for Black, relying a lot upon that. But Black, of course, lagging behind in development with his kingside pieces. Tanya, you mentioned you've played this on occasion. What should both sides be aiming for in the next few moves?
Well, I've played it with the black side, and usually you want to put your bishop on b7, and sometimes be brave enough to even go alongside castle with black right now. If you get a chance and you can break in the center with d5, that would be the dream. Right now, this move, it's a tricky one by Jan because it stops Black from actually taking out that bishop, finishing development. So no bishop e7 because g7 is hanging. And if the knight comes out to f6, that natural square, you've got these ideas of pushing the e-pawn forward, kicking that knight out, and then the bishop can join the light square diagonal, the one that you pointed out with bishop e2 and bishop f3. We might be seeing both sides go with queenside castle in this. I'm expecting bishop b7 as the next move.
Oh, I can just see you smiling there, Kanti. I can just see you excited about that prospect.
I can't sit still, you know, rocking back and forth. I can't sit still. No, this is going to be some type of fight. You always get that in the Sicilian anyway. That's what you're looking for when white goes open Sicilian. They want to fight. Black is playing the Sicilian to have a fight. So you actually are going to have some tactics here, lots of fun. And Black is going to have to figure out, how do I develop my king side? That is a very, very valid question. As Tanya pointed out, knight f6 could be hit with an e5. Maybe castle queen side first, then an e5 to have more pressure on the d file. There's all type of tactics. Black does need to figure out what to do. And from an opening standpoint or from a principle standpoint, white has more pieces developed. Black only has out the queen and made these three pawn moves out here that aren't the greatest, of course. I mean, there's still, you know, e6 helps the bishop get out. We have space on the queen side, but we need to move our pieces out, and that is what Alireza is trying to figure out right now. Maybe you could go bishop e7 anyway.
Ooh, that's not a move I've seen before.
Yeah, that's
very creative.
Very opportunistic as well. That moment would have passed if white had the chance to castle queenside and control the square. Now the white queen trapped from the exchange, cannot run away from the trade of queens. And yeah, I guess he's arguing just he's not going to get checkmated at least now. He's lagging behind in development, but piece development less important with queens off the board. I quite like it. That's old man chess, but not used to it from Firouzja, that's the only thing.
And I really like Jan's response as well. He's saying trade bit on my terms, because now the bishop can jump to d4, once again eye-lining that pawn on g7, not making development on the king side any easier for Alireza.
Still way ahead in development here with white. And I wouldn't be surprised if he starts chucking pawns down the board anyway. Despite the fact that queens are absent, he could, okay, he pushes f3. I was going to say you could go f4 and continue. He might well just push these pawns, gain space on the kingside flank, and ask black what he's doing with these snoring pieces at home. But yeah, it looks like maybe a small advantage, but nothing too significant for Jan Nepomniachtchi in these early stages. Firouzja, though, surviving. I like that decision. Queens off the board. Very safe.
Queens off the board, and also now Jan has blunted that bishop on b7 with his last move, sort of creating this pawn chain on the light squares. And meanwhile, Alireza trying to complete development, target that bishop on d4, kick that out of the way, and then finally get that bishop out. Finish development. I also want to point out in these structures that d7 pawn that black has on the d file, that can sometimes be a weakness, so watch out for that as well. Should we jump over to the Magnus board? Because once again, this is an endgame. It's going to be a long one.
Let's do just that.
Ooh.
And yeah, these two never disappoint, do they? What a weird position. All pawns and pieces still on the board on this one. Black's last move was to save his bishop, which was attacked. He's planted it in the center. There's a hit on the b2 pawn. This is a very typical idea when a white bishop from c1 moves away, you lose protection over this pawn. So Magnus trying to put maximum pressure on. Look at Magnus. I very rarely see him in this pose. Hands on head, full concentration. I think he just senses how complex this this scenario is.
He's usually leaned back and looks pretty chilled and relaxed, but bishop e4 played right now. That b2 pawn is hanging. Magnus has to make a decision, but now he's gone back to looking a bit relaxed about it.
He heard us.
He heard us. Yeah, head and hands is not Magnus's style.
No, but I really like Magnus's position. Okay, offer of a queen trade from Maxime. It feels like the last few moves have actually gone very wrong for white. He took the space, seized the space. Now queen's coming off the board. And yeah, black has zero weaknesses. Black's got the more compact pawn structure. In the Sicilian, the c3, the Alpin variation, you want to attack, right? You don't want to go into an endgame where your pawns are targets.
And David, you pointed out this connect 4, right? That can be broken up by Magnus at any point. You take on d4, white will be forced to recapture with the pawn. And imagine at a moment when black breaks through with that f6 break, you will have a very sore weakness on that central d4 square that can become an easy target. And Magnus right now, he does start with the plan. At some point, I'm expecting him to break with either h5 to open up that rook on the h file, or to strike with f6. It's the kind of position, as black, you don't need to think about castling. Your king is absolutely safe and doing a great job in the center, might land on d7, and you can think about getting your rook into the game via the h-file.
Yeah, definitely don't castle. The king is perfectly placed now that the queens are off. And okay, Magnus deciding that knights are more valuable than bishops in such a blocked pawn structure. He trades off his bishop for the knight, and I'm inclined to agree. He's gone for your plan, Tanya, of opening up his dark square bishop now. White has an isolated queen's pawn, an IQP, and two doubled isolated pawns on the queen side. Not looking pretty for Maxime.
And Magnus going for my plan is usually not a good sign, David.
Ooh. I don't know, you're the queen of predictions, Tanya. I mean, if we're playing Guess the Move, then I think
I'm probably leading right now.
Definitely leading. Okay, Magnus, another outpost for his knight.
Oh, comes, yeah. And this is the drawback of the pawn formation that Maxime has, right? There's no healthy way of kicking this knight out ever. You've got these double pawns, and black also gets this beautiful square on b4. Allow it to jump to c2, super happy. Not just that, that rook from a8 is headed on to that open line on c8. It just looks like Magnus's pieces are flowing here. You know, they're super happy with everything that's just happened.
Yeah, normally I would say that Maxime is one of the few who can fight kind of hand-to-hand on an equal footing with Magnus in queenless middle games like this, but he's starting from a huge disadvantage, huge handicap. I mean, the white bishops do not make a great impression at all. They're kind of both blunted totally. They're just staring at walls of pawns.
And did he just set up a little trick in this position, lining up the rook with the bishop? Be careful, because bishop takes pawn is in the air.
That's how he just lost the last game. We call the loose pieces lose games. Loose meaning undefended, once again. So he played king g2 to defend that, and an easy king d7. Just kind of consolidate, have a better pawn structure, right? maybe move the rook around somewhere. Bingen kind of jumped a little bit, the bar, but...
Maxime's frowning as well. Tanya, maybe he spotted something.
And I just spotted something with this last move, putting that king on d7. Does this allow the white knight to actually jump to the edge of the board? Because there are some dark square weaknesses on that left side. I'm eyeing c5, I'm eyeing b6. Does that give white some counterplay here?
Definitely. I think Magnus maybe a bit complacent. He's not worse, not significantly worse, but I mean, he could have been very much better. And I think he might have missed this move, Magnus.
Hey, guess your move.
Oh, yay, Tanya, yay. Okay,
Look at the
c5
bar.
is really strong.
Oh, wow. He might even play the move g5 next and bishop to g4, targeting this pawn.
You have to go king c or c7 or c8. And then, yeah, g5, bishop g4. It's just easy moves to play. How do you defend that? Maybe pawn e5? You might have to push up.
You know, the last two moves, it just feels like the momentum has completely shifted. We were singing praises about Magnus's positions, all the trumps that exist, and Maxime, he's on the push right now. He's bringing on the pressure. I love that idea of bishop g4. Double down on the weakness.
What do attackers do? A quick question.
Attack.
Exactly. There you go, Tanya. Right? Attack for 5,000 here. No, so that's exactly right. And attackers will attack. And I know this. I do the same. So knight a4, attacking move. Knight c5, attacking move. g5 is just he's flowing. He's flowing in. And when he gets his positions, it's really hard to beat MVL.
That's a really good point, by the way. Like, knight a4 came with a threat of a fork. Knight c5 was a check. g5 is a threat. Bishop g4 is going to be a threat. It's momentum, right? You force your opponent to react until they fall off and blunder.
Yeah, you collapse. And we were talking about that knight on b4, a pretty piece, but right now those two black knights are just superfluous, right? They're not really doing anything in the position. And it's hard to imagine how they're going to defend this because, and you can see it, Magnus, he goes into a think. He knows that Maxime is putting pressure and threats with every single move. Maxime is on the attack. Bishop g4, rook c1 coming next. And Magnus just doesn't have time to get that e5 break in.
He's just losing material, I think. I think he's just literally losing material. But the engine says there's apparently something here. But, I mean, he must be, it feels like he's just losing material. Oh, maybe there's knight d8. That's gross. But, you know, it does defend the pawn.
Falls back. Another threat.
Oh, gross is a good word here. It's really ugly to plant your knight on such a passive square. But, wow, Magnus sacrifices.
Yeah, he sacrificed the exchange.
Yeah, knight jumping in with the check. But how many times has Magnus done this, you know, to break free in the position when he knows he's under pressure? He'd rather give up material to neutralize that pressure and just get counterplay in. And he's made bounce backs from those sacrifices.
Yeah, the Wesley game, that was crazy. In fact, that was insane.
That wasn't a sacrifice. That was just a series of blunders from Magnus, but he still fought back, right?
That's funny.
And I should mention, like, long-term, Black was doing very, very well there, but just dynamically short-term, Magnus took his eye off the ball, allowed this flurry of tactics, and now the big question is, can you jump in with the check?
E2? Wow, the engine gives rook e2 best move. That's crazy. I mean, he played this, we're going to have to start that procedure ASAP. I mean, that's rook e2 is insane, David. What is it even doing?
Yeah, this bishop is trapped. I think the idea is pawn to d4, so you cannot get greedy yet. This bishop has no escape square, so rook e2 is very sneaky. It's a hidden move, I agree.
That's a hidden one, yeah, that's interesting, because d4, wow.
The white bishop needs to run.
That's
the white
gross.
bishop needs an escape square.
Dang, so, okay, maybe not start the procedure, because it makes sense. He does understand. Okay, yeah, the bishop's trapped.
Okay, difficult moment for Maxime. He's likely to have a long think here. Critical moment as well. He needs to find rook e2 to maintain his advantage. But let's zoom out. Maybe we can check out the bird's eye view and see how the other game is going. The other game, much more positional. Queen's off the board there as well, but less tactical. I've got to say, I like Nepomniachtchi's position. It's that D pawn that you mentioned, you highlighted earlier, Tanya. It's being targeted on the right side of our screens there. Firouzja on the back foot.
But from a human perspective, it's not that easy, right? Because the black knight often jumps into that defense. Knight e5 is a resource you always have, but not in this position. The problem here is that white will snap up that knight and enter with the rook to the 7th rank. Again, LPD or loose pieces drop off. Those bishops would be hanging. So tough problem to solve. With no knight jumping onto the center available for black, how are you defending it? Because rook d8, once again, an unhappy decision. Move that rook from an active square to a passive one.
Yeah, and Firouzja drops his bishop back. Which board to go to? Suddenly there's action everywhere.
Both boards, yeah.
Firouzja giving up a pawn. But I think we have to go back to Magnus because rook e2 was found by Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And it looks like the world number one in huge trouble. Magnus is about to lose a piece, I believe.
Okay, we got to go over there.
Yeah, double attack. This knight is hit twice. But more importantly, there's a huge knight fork in the air. Knight to e6 will win the black rook. That will be a devastating check. Magnus totally lost control. He played one lazy move earlier, king to d7. He wasn't even thinking. He knew he was better. And suddenly, this is the mess he's found himself in.
Yeah.
It's what he said about Maxime, by the way. It's like you put your piece on good squares, suddenly the tactics work, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's happened.
I mean, there's a clear threat on the board, and that would just mean game over on the spot. By the way, Magnus also down on the clock, and big problems to solve. I'm trying to do a little bit of a piece count here. Right now, Maxime already has an extra pawn. Sorry, Magnus has an extra pawn, but he's about to lose material, either the knight or the rook.
Yeah.
Can the d-pawn create threats? Because that's what Magnus's hopes are relying on, right?
But how? It's
Yeah,
difficult,
there's like
right?
Nothing. There's literally, I mean, 96, or you let me take the knight. Like, what are we doing, right?
He's
It's tough.
trying.
It's, I don't think.
Is this when Maxime makes his comeback? Is this an equalizer?
Bishop?
Yes.
No. Rook of 2? No. Nothing. Literally nothing.
There's no squares for the black rook.
Yeah.
He moves his king forward. Okay, how is Maxime going to cash in to maximum effect here?
I love how you keep doing the maximum stuff.
Just an instinct, it's not even intentional.
Yeah, but that's a tricky move because he sidesteps the pin and he was also putting pressure on the knight, and a great shot of Maxime. He can feel it. He knows that this is the moment, this is the game, this is the position where he's got all the chances to bounce back. Magnus is about to recapture on b4. You can you can take that pawn first, throw in a check, and an in-between move, and then pick up that knight.
Yeah. This is a check. He's simply winning a piece. And look at the white bishop as well. It's perfectly placed to stop the black d-pawn. The d-pawn is one square away from promotion, but needs some help. Needs a helping hand to somehow bypass that white bishop's beautiful kind of guardianship of the d1 square.
You know, with Magnus, you just have to be so precise every single move till he throws in the towel, because we've seen him save even worse positions than this in this very tournament. So I think Maxime just cannot let his eye off for even 1 second right now. Pawn is on d2. Till that pawn is alive, Magnus Carlsen has chances.
Yep. Maxime, though, he should be able to take this. Nearly 3 minutes left. He's got some time to compose himself, calm himself down, and extra knight should really count here.
It's a bit offside though right now, right? Far away from that d-pawn. And if it's Magnus's move, he wants to plant that bishop to the center of the board. That bishop lands on that d4 square, and suddenly there are big threats.
Ooh, he reaches for that knight. And Tanya, you predicted the future again? Suddenly the bar slides down.
Oh, dang.
I'm trying to guess the move.
Good move.
Is it? Wait, bishop c3?
Bishop c3 is quite annoying, but I guess he was going rook a4. Like.
Okay, there are a lot of ideas, but something's gone very wrong here. And Magnus, will he find the way out of this mess as well?
A blue arrow has appeared on my board, showing the best move. Apparently, there's only one way to fight back.
Okay, let's try to find it. Don't say it. Let's try to find it. What is it? This is difficult, bro. What? Only one move here.
Yeah, I peeked.
Wow.
I peeked on David's board, but it's the idea we were discussing, right, David? All the problems on the king side. And Magnus, he senses it. Look at him.
But he's only got 30 seconds to find the key move.
He's going to find it.
He's got to bring his bishop into the center of the board next to his king. Bishop to d4. Only move to create counterplay, threats towards the white king, while the white knight is offside. This is a one-move opportunity. If he doesn't find it, Magnus, he's going to lose. He's reaching for his bishop. He finds it.
Always finds it.
Very quick, king g3.
And he didn't just find that move. He calculated the line through, and it's the precise defense, but he messes it up at the end.
Oh, I guess you just take the pawn. You can, but there's bishop c3 there. Oh, maybe you have rook b7, and then takes in rook check and take again. Knight takes d2, bishop c3.
Missed something.
Rook
What?
b7, there's king c6. Oh, you have rook d7 anyway.
Wow, there were tricks in the air. And just to briefly jump in while Maxime is thinking right now, there's one trick. Knight takes pawn would now allow bishop to f2 check. And if the king moves, now you drop back with your bishop. This is so hard to spot.
Wow, that's crazy.
You drop back, and next move, your rook swoops in and captures the knight. So this pawn is actually poisoned right now. Just to point out as well, Magnus here, he had a way to save the game with rook to f4, eliminating this bishop. But let's catch up with the current position. Wow, it's happening.
Yeah, it happened.
He's blundered.
But honestly, it felt great. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if it made sense, you know. And then you miss this, and you're like, "What am I doing?" But okay, like, this is crazy. Yeah, I understand. I saw this too, but he missed bishop c5.
And Magnus is just back. He's back in the game. He does this. You know, when he's got the advantage, he flawlessly converts it. When he's worse, he finds a way to bounce back and save the game. This guy's unbeatable. You go bishop c5, and now you're just neutralizing every single thing on the board with the big threat of the rook jumping in.
Loose pieces, LP here. It's they're dropping off the knight or the rook.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And that bishop will slide and block that check on d7.
He said, at least I'm going to grab something for this. I can't lose this one. I mean, you can, but it's very unlikely.
As long as you don't get checkmated, the white king not entirely safe. In the meantime, we see the other board. Jan Nepomniachtchi looks like he's really turning the screw there. He's, wow, 1 second for Alireza Firouzja. Look at the clock.
Oh, shoot. How did he get 1 second? Oh, he's got a
2 second increment. Some magic going on there. But
right, I thought the same thing. How does he have 1 second?
And that's the thing, right? In online chess, you can build up on your time, but it's so hard over the board with just 2 seconds on the clock. And Alireza playing on those last few seconds, a very difficult position. Compare each of Jan's pieces to Alireza's counterparts. The rook super active, the knight beautifully placed in c4. The bishop a strong piece, as Alireza has all his pawn weaknesses on the dark squares. Jan Nepomniachtchi is dominating this game with the white pieces. He's going for the a5 pawn.
oh, in the meantime, Magnus Carlsen just reacted there. He's not quite blundered, but he's messed up to some extent. It's suddenly 2 pawns against 0.
Oh, shoot. 8 seconds too as well for Magnus. He barely has time to get the moves off.
Yeah, and where to jump to right now? Let's go back to Magnus. It looks like that game could finish in the near future. If he's able to hold it, it will be very shortly. Jan Nepomniachtchi just in cruise control, though.
Yes, but you know, there are all these ideas that Magnus has against the white king, though, on the Maxim board. With the rook and the bishop lined up with checks, but Maxime is doing everything right so far. Will he find the best move? He does it. That g-pawn is moving forward. Magnus trying to get the rook to the defense. It's not going to be enough.
Maxime's winning.
Bishop
Rook e6.
e6. Oh, my goodness.
Wow. Maxime with a killer tactic there. Now, without the white pawn, it's a draw, but he had a pawn left. Maxime takes the win.
And he scores the equalizer. He bounces right back to level the score. It's 1-1 against the world #1.
Crazy MVP MVL. This is a match now, boys. It's even.
Oof, and you can see it on Maxime how relieved he is that he was finally able to convert that position. Because Magnus just has a tendency to make it all turn around.
Magnus turned it around, but let it slip when he was on the brink of a draw because he only had a few seconds left. This game, Alireza Firouzja, he's been playing on seconds for so many moves by now, but it's all about the pawn count. He's currently 2 pawns down, 0 counterplay. He's desperately trying to push on the king side, but Jan Nepomniachtchi, just maximum control. If any rooks disappear, this is just game over. The white A pawn is going to cruise forward and promote.
And that white knight is also going to jump to the center of the board via e3. Beautiful squares on d5 and f5. And like you said, once the queenside pawns start pushing, it's the end of the game. No passers, no counterplay for Alireza. A pair of rooks come off first. Jan targeting that 8-7 pawn. Fix it up.
Yeah. Positions with knights, it's always the A and H pawns that are so tricky to stop. Knights struggle to prevent those rooks pawns from running because they can only stop them from one side. But, okay, in the meantime, some checks.
An incredible time clock management by Jan in both these games. You know, he's forced Alireza to those final seconds where the mistakes happen. And now with these passers all over the board, I think we're expecting resignations very soon.
Very soon. Yeah, it's all about the clock. Alireza not giving himself enough time. We saw it in the Magnus game. It's so difficult to fight against the best players in the world. When you have 5 seconds, they have minutes at their disposal. But, okay, he's still alive. He blockades white's h-pawn, but the a-pawn is going to start running.
The whole board is overloaded right now for Alireza. He can't get pieces enough to defend and fight against both these pawns. He's trying to push his own e-pawn, though. Will he have enough time? I think he's just too slow in the race.
Yeah, too slow in the race, too slow on the clock. And, yeah, the two-front attack here. Getting hit from both sides, Alireza. He's trying to harass the white rook with his knight. Where is the killer blow? Jan might get a bit frustrated. Okay, second time we've seen this position.
Yeah, he finds it. And I think he's just going to push the a-pawn next, tying down that black rook from taking the 8-7 pawn because the white pawn queens.
Yeah,
and rook g8. That's it.
Wow.
Handshakes. It's Jan Nepomniachtchi with a 2-2 lead.
2-0. Jan is kind of trying to make it look easy here. 3.5 wins the match. Alireza is almost in a must-win situation.
I agree with that. I think this next game with white for Alireza, it's essential that he gets the point. It's going to be very tough for him to come back because then he plays black next, and you can see it in him, you know. He's sitting there putting the pieces back, and in his mind, he's just going through, how did it all go so wrong? and how do I come back?
Absolutely, as to stop the bleeding, as they say, with at least a draw in the next game. Magnus and MVL tied up 1-1. Alireza and Jan 2-0 lead. Very hot start here. He has to bounce back. Him meaning Alireza. David, that was crazy.
Wow. I mean, I knew today was going to be exciting. Yes. I didn't think there would be 0 draws in the first 4 games. So many twists, turns, turnarounds, brilliancies. A couple of blunders in there. We've had everything, and it's only 2 games in. This is crazy.
All decisive games. What more could we have asked for? But I think it's really, the pressure is so on Alireza. James, you say he needs to stop the bleeding. I think it's more than that. He needs to win this next game. It's absolutely essential for him to go all out. Give Jan another white, give him the momentum, and the match could be over in very quickly.
Very, very quickly, guys. Of course, I know everyone's excited here. Game 3 is coming up, but before we actually come up with Game 3, we're going to have a short break here, but we're actually going to talk about Take, the ultimate app for experiencing chess like never before, co-founded by Magnus Carlsen. Follow your favorite players to tailor your in-app experience, stay in the loop with live events, and even play along with game features like Guess the Move, and soon, Fantasy Chess. To download Take and experience chess fandom like never before, visit go.chess.com/takex3 or use !take X3 in chat. All right, coming up soon, Game 3. We will see more fireworks on the board. Don't go anywhere. For our subscribers in the break coming up, check out Maxime doing a chess.com puzzle challenge. We're going to grab some coffee, chill, and bets with Tanya, and more 2024 Champion Chess Tour coverage after the break. Stay tuned.
We made some for you in honor of the chess bot. Custom Crunch
sick.
Labs.
There I am. Are we gonna play a game? You have to be blindfolded.
I can do that.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, maybe I think I need to do something really weird because that's gonna make it harder for him to remember, right? Okay, he's never gonna see this coming. A6.
All right, knight takes E5.
Oh shoot.
Gotta look at his moves too.
Okay, I'm abandoning that trick. You think that was a mistake on my part, but I'm hustling you.
Knight takes F7.
Mm-hmm. I think I only have one move here.
I'm gonna go queen F3. Check.
Pawn to B5.
Yeah. Rook takes B5.
What? Interesting.
Oh, I forgot you played A6.
Pawn takes.
Okay. Okay, see, that's what happens in blindfold chess. Now,
yeah,
we got a game
go,
here.
Mark Rober!
We got a game.
You think that was a mistake on my part, but I'm hustling you. Rook captures on A2. Because it's unprotected.
Mm-hmm. Pawn to C4. It's explosive. Queen to B8. Check.
What have you done?
Knight to C7 check.
I saw that right after I moved. I'm not going without a fight. I move my king to A8.
And queen to A7 is...
You jerk!
Right.
Exit's that way. Yeah, if you beat me in chess, you gotta let yourself out. Get out of here.
Okay, so we're gonna set the board up. We've got a few fun puzzles for you.
Oh, white to play and win?
Yeah, white to play and win.
My first thought was bishop d6 rook takes, but it doesn't seem to help.
Okay, bishop d6, rook c8 makes not so much sense because rook c8 and then rook d1. So we need something more smart.
Bishop d6, this one, but then he just takes. Yeah, bishop d6 doesn't work. So check, 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 king e6.
Most natural would be queen g3 check. Because if king a8, now I have queen e3 and I set up my own back rank.
Bishop, bishop, bishop.
It's not so simple. You know, how to save some, some pieces, especially if we want to win later on.
Most natural would be queen g3 check. So then comes king c8, of course.
So Jan, after queen g3, black moves the king to c8.
What?
Queen g4, queen takes bishop a7, king d7, rook d2, and rook c1.
Nailed it.
Yes, correct.
Bishop a7, king d7, check, mate. Very beautiful.
Very, very nice.
You know, something like queen g4, yeah, like queen g4, bishop e7, rook d2, rook c1. No, but that's like super simple. I mean, you know, but my problem is that I wouldn't see the queen e3 works after king e8.
Do you want to keep going for more?
Of course. until I solve.
This next puzzle
is finally for 1600s, yeah?
It's not just a game. It's a sport.
At its time, it felt like one.
The anticipation.
The intensity, the fire. Participate. Get closer to the action.
Feel every minute.
Live every moment.
Well, what do I do now?
No, not that move. That was so great.
The game's not changed.
But the experience has.
There's no going back.
I don't know about all of you, but I've been bumping some lo-fi music during these breaks. Of course, I also do it when I'm studying chess. And it's very nice. It's actually very chill. If you've been enjoying the lo-fi beats from the CCT Finals, don't miss your chance to win an exclusive chess.com vinyl from Lo-Fi Girl featuring the chill tunes you've been listening to these past few days. Plus, win a 1-year diamond membership on chess.com with your vinyl. Head to go.chess.com/vinyl or use command vinyl in chat to enter the giveaway. Alrighty.
In the heart of Oslo, the chess world has converged to witness a clash of titans in the ultimate battle of wit, the Champions Chess Tour.
Oh my god! And Magnus cannot believe it!
At the helm stands Norway's pride and the tour's undisputed king, Magnus Carlsen.
Magnus Magic. How many times do we say that, Tanya? Every single game.
But the hometown hero can't rest easy. A star-studded field is here to take Carlsen's crown. Alireza Firouzja, the young prodigy.
Alireza has done the unimaginable.
The future of chess. He twice defeated Carlsen to win the Chess.com Classic. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, the French Grandmaster, whose blazingly fast style toppled Firouzja in the Crunch Lab Master.
There we go. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is the winner of the Crunch Labs Masters.
Jan Nepomniachtchi, the two-time World Championship contender.
He's just in the wrong square.
Wow, black leaves the bishop hanging and Jan blundered.
This is a battle of minds. Every move is a masterpiece in the making. It's the climax of the biggest online chess event of the year. The Champions Chess Tour Final decides who is the king of rapid chess.
You never see this. Absolute hats off.
This is immortality stuff.
It's the Champions Chess Tour Finals, live from Oslo, Norway, and it starts right now.
Welcome back to Oslo. The excitement is high, but we're still having fun in the venue as we see William, 3-time Norwegian junior champ, solves a Rubik's Cube in the lounge. He is going crazy, by the way. This kid is nuts. Hey, don't show him chess, guys. Let's just not get him on the chessboard. At the same time here, playing Hall is here, and all decisive games so far. Could the games have been more delivery with the games? What do you think, Tanya?
I think the players need to listen to some lo-fi girl, because what is this chess we've been seeing? You know, Magnus takes the lead, Maxime strikes back immediately. Jan Nepomniachtchi absolutely destructive today with a 2-0 lead against Alireza. Alireza in essentially a must-win game. We had all decisive action. The day could not have started off better.
Yeah, the weather's chilly here in Oslo, but nobody's been chilling on the chessboard. It's been crazy. I did not expect this at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, either. I mean, it's crazy to see Jan in the form he's in right now. It's almost he just became a new guy overnight. He just came in, and like Firouzja is hard to beat, obviously, and like he's just 2-0, and it's like, hey, you know, you better pick it up, young fella, or this is going to be over in like 2 games, because 3.5 wins the match here. And of course, MVL taking it to Magnus there. That's back and forth. Of course, Magnus is looking to strike back hot.
Yeah, we should mention Jan is on a hot streak. Like that purple patch, 4 match wins, and now he started with 2 wins in a row today. The momentum behind him is crazy, and a confident chess player gains an extra 100 elo points, in my opinion. You start believing everything, tactics just fall in your favor, the opponents get scared. He's going to be a hard man to stop.
Well, of course, we have more chess coming up, but before we do, we have Mike Klein over with MVL. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
We're here with Grandmaster Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, who evened his match against Magnus Carlsen by winning as white. That was a crazy game. Now, I want to get to the very end of the game. He spent a minute on his clock, and he found bishop d4. What were your thoughts at that moment when he played bishop d4?
No, I had bishop d4 in my mind, and of course my first idea was rook b7. But like in the first game, actually, I'm blundering a lot, which is uncharacteristic. I'm playing actually very, very well. Blundering a lot. It feels like almost like the reverse matchup as the usual, because this first game I should never lose, of course. But Magnus found some very nice tactics here. Like I was calculating all these tricks, but someone missed this bishop f2, bishop c5, and then I had to win all over again. This was very unpleasant, because if I just leave, like play rook b7 and play for rook d7, then I'm just a safe piece up. So, but still, I'm happy with how I play so far. I hope to keep it on, and you know, this sounds like a good match.
Credit to you for keeping your composure. Now, in the Champions Chess Tour in 2024, you've played 8 non-Armageddon games with Magnus. All 8 have been decisive. Do you have any way to explain that?
This makes no sense. This really makes no sense.
And finally, as the play wrapped up yesterday and you found out that Magnus had texted you as the opponent, what were your thoughts when you found out?
Yeah, you know, it's semifinals, so, you know, whoever's in front of you, you gotta give your best.
It's a fascinating match so far. 4 games left to go. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, now back to you in the studio.
Wow, MVL says this makes no sense. Like he's crazy, and it doesn't make any sense. There's just no draws between them. It just are swinging back and forth. Your turn, you hit me, and I hit you. That's just how it is. It's very decisive between them two, 1-1, and of course we got a third game coming up. Alireza under the gun here. He needs to bounce back right now. What does he have to do?
All right, now Maxime's thinking about what he needs to do, because he plays with the black pieces, right? And like you said, punches have been traded, so he did punch right back. And I loved his attitude in that interview, because he said, it's the semifinals, whoever you're playing, you've just got to come out and give your best. And that's exactly what Alireza needs to do right now, because he's lost 2 games back-to-back, and that's the toughest start you can have against a player like Jan, who's just vibing, playing amazing chess, feeling confident. I think for Alireza, this is an uphill task. Maxime, so many great takeaways from the way the 2 games have gone. I think Maxime's got to be feeling good about his chances in this match.
Yeah, he's just a cool customer, the Frenchman, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. Another very cool customer who's loving the music here in Oslo is Jan Nepomniachtchi. He's getting in the zone now, getting focused.
It's the sweatshirt, David.
The lucky shirt, the lucky sweatshirt.
You know what? Listen, anything like that. I had a pen that was like that. I'm sure. Hey, what was your lucky item, David?
Many things. If I play white, I always have to have light-colored socks and undergarments, and likewise for black.
Too much information.
And lucky pens, lucky pens. That's, I think, a common thing with chess players.
What about you, Tanya? Anything?
Yeah, everything. It's like you start a tournament when you start winning and you're using a certain pen, or sometimes, wearing a specific dress or something and it's working for you, you keep that going. But I think when you're playing badly, you can change it as much as you want and it's not gonna change anything. But if it's going good and you believe in it, keep doing it. And I think Jan feels that way as well. And it is going very good for him. And Alireza comes in. A little bit of a body language read there. Alireza does look a little dejected right now.
He really does. He's normally very confident when he walks in. He's normally got a bit of a swagger around him, but okay, headphones in. With white, never write him off, Alireza Firouzja. He's so dangerous. He's so strong with the white pieces. He gets to dictate the pace of the game early on. And we should mention, despite losing the first of today's 2 games, with white, he had a great start. He had a big advantage, objectively, against the Petrov. So, yeah, he's definitely not out of it. He needs to maintain his composure.
And what does that really mean, right? Because there are 2 approaches when you're trailing a match. And look at that for Jan. And you mentioned this earlier, David. What a hot streak he's been on, starting from round 5 in the all-play-all. It's just been win, win, win. He's been a winning machine all the way.
Wow.
That's right. Only 2 players have stopped him. Magnus Carlsen earlier in the round robin and Alireza Firouzja. So Firouzja needs to take confidence that he can do it. He was the last player to stop Jan after all. So you just got to take it move by move, game by game.
But I want to just come back to what we were talking about. For Alireza, what does it mean to keep composure right now? Because there are 2 approaches. You either stop the bleeding, say, you know what, I need a draw and I'll come back, I've got enough rounds. Or does he have enough rounds really left? Does he need to go all out right now, right here?
I think Firouzja's repertoire with the white pieces, he's so much more dangerous. In a must-win situation with black, it's going to be much harder. Jan is so experienced at shutting things down. He's played World Championships, candidates matches where he's great when he's leading. But in the meantime, another player who's no longer leading, Magnus Carlsen. Again, he looks a bit flustered as he chooses his music for the game.
He just hates to lose, which is, we're all there. I think we all feel that pain here, but especially being Magnus here. He's like, I win everything, and I want to, win this match. So every loss here is making it worse. Obviously, you don't want that. So Magnus, you're looking to bounce back. It's 1-1. It's basically a clean slate. New match here, but we still have games left.
He hates to lose so much, Magnus, and that's what's terrifying about him. He just becomes extremely dangerous after a loss. It's easy for players to go on a tilt, but for Magnus Carlsen, all he wants is revenge. He starts with the white pieces. We're going to have liftoff soon. First move predictions.
E4.
Knight of 3.
Knight of 3.
Ready. There we go, Tanya. Okay, I guess we split the pot on that one. Hey!
No guess your move for us.
Wow, I'm glad I didn't bet. Okay.
I hope everyone at home playing Guess the Move did better than us.
Uh-oh, here we go. The trusted.
Is it going to be the Kaplan?
Okay, it looks like it might be a solid version of the Grunfeld here with a locked pawn structure. This is something that became very trendy in recent months, years. Rook to E1, it's the move that Gukesh introduced at the top level during the recent World Championship against Ding Liren.
And you know whose novelty this was? The man behind this preparation, Rook E1. It was Vincent Keymer who found this idea.
Okay.
It was one of the most beautiful, fresh ideas, and I think Magnus, in his recap for Take, actually mentioned it as something that impressed him so much, and here he is, employing it himself.
Wow, this is a massive psychological gamble by Magnus. He's basically saying to Maxime, have you been studying chess in the last 2 weeks? Because I think all top players have looked at this and thought, this is a cool idea, Rook to E1. It looks like such a silly move, just blocked in by its own pawn. But basically, you're daring black to take up the mantle here and just capture this pawn on c4, Queen's Gambit style. It's a clear pawn if you want it. He does go for it, Maxime, but you allow the white pawns now to occupy the center. Now Rook E1 looks like a masterstroke. And, okay, it's a battle of homework. Magnus is guaranteed looked at this today.
Yeah.
Has Maxime? That's the big question.
Well, Maxime's speed seems to imply, whether it was today or during the match itself, during the World Championship, he studied it as well. Because he doesn't pause. It's the first time he takes a thing. The knight comes out. It's hitting that pawn on b5. Right now, Maxime has an extra pawn. Magnus has immense control over the center. Also want to highlight that bishop on g2, which is quite the beast. At some point, Maxime needs to challenge it with the bishop on b7.
And we'll see how Maxime reacts to this opening surprise. In the meantime, the other game about to begin. And it's crucial for Alireza Firouzja to start fast, to start strong, as he aims to bounce back 2-0 down. But he does have the white pieces. Handshake. Is this his moment to come back? It is Knight of 3 on this board.
Ready.
We get half a point for that. Are we ready for ready? Well, Alireza better be ready for this because he is trailing by 2 points right now. And once again, we see Nepomniachtchi just playing confidently from the start.
Okay, and interesting. This is very similar, if not exactly the same as their battle in the candidates tournament just earlier this year. As Firouzja there, having a tough time at the candidates, suddenly switched to the Reti and got a lot of success with it. But I think a slightly different move order this time. And okay, it's basically a reversed London system with Black's bishop just standing next to the king, really solid. And then that pawn structure, the triangle that Nepomniachtchi is going for. He's basically saying, come at me. I could not be more solid right now. And Firouzja, he'll want to get some action going. That's guaranteed. Okay, which of the two is looking spicier to you, James?
Definitely the Magnus game there, and I actually like this bishop b7 move as well because you have to develop. Yes, he gave you the pawn, and bishop b7 was my first thought. I remember looking at this these type of positions before, just from both sides, and understanding that, yeah, okay, we got the pawn, but Black needs to be very quick with development, or else you could get crushed here. So bishop b7 was a nice move, intending if knight takes b5, we'll take maybe with bishop takes e4 to not be kind of caught with some type of pin on knight e4. d5 for Magnus, but we may have a b4 here. So this is about to get tactical for sure.
I do want to point out that I think Maxime has also looked at this position just as much as Magnus has looked at the idea of rook e1, because in the World Championship match, Ding also captured that pawn, but very soon went wrong and was on the ropes. He was on the back foot, somehow survived that big game 7. He made a mistake very early on, right out of the opening. Maxime has pretty much done everything right, tackling that idea of the rook moving to the central file. And we see those pawns have moved forward. Visually, it does look great for Black.
Yeah.
You know, you've got that extra pawn. White can't push that e-pawn one step ahead because d5 will be a weakness. I'm liking this for Maxime.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned it's a bit of a gamble by Magnus. Everyone, at least at the top level, they've been studying this for over the last 2 weeks at some point. And it's the type of opening that Magnus described in his reviews as the opening, the idea that you just use once. You use it once, you throw it away, and it was cool. But to play it so recently after that World Championship match, it's a bit of a bluff. He's saying to Maxime, like, are you hardworking enough? Maxime is saying, yes, I am. I've studied this. I'm a pawn up. You're worse with white already after just 13 moves.
I'm not gonna lie, it feels like that. Like this is e5, whoa, big dog. Okay, bring it to him. I like that.
We just said it, that this was not possible. That d5 pawn is on pre. You can just pick up another pawn. That would be 2 extra pawns for Maxime.
You have to probably take this pawn. I mean, and then maybe e6 is his idea, and then knight g5 after fe.
He does it. I feel like Maxime's worked out this line till the very end.
He probably doesn't take, though. Maybe you just move the knight, because fe is coming with knight g5, and now we cook it. Yeah, that's some nasty stuff there. But maybe we just don't take it. But the question is, where do we go if we don't take it?
Blue arrow appears.
It is best.
I mean, it's almost hidden there by the exclamation point given to this last move by Magnus. Magnus had to try this. The e-pawn is a bit of a battering ram. He's basically just foregone the queen side. Magnus, he's admitting any endgames, he's dead lost. The Black will just win on the queen side. Black has these 3 beautiful pawns, but he's going for the Black king.
What are the chances that Magnus has had this exact position in his preparation?
10 to 20%? You never know, right? The top players, they've looked at so much in their lifetimes.
I don't understand. Fe, knight g5. I'm just trying to, what do you do on knight g5? Apparently, we're sacking in exchange or something. Fe, and then knight to g5, which is a very critical threat of knight e6. How do you defend this? In fact, the best defense is offense. I would love to go queen b6, but we can't. So we're trying to figure out what do we do about this. You can't move the knight. I was still trying to go knight c7, but there's bishop takes b7. So this is crazy already. Fe, knight g5, and then what?
I've got one question, because pawn takes pawn looks so dangerous, David. In this position, can't Maxime just consolidate it by moving that knight on d7 away, either to f6 or to b6?
Yeah, I think you're right. Definitely playable moves. The blue arrow indicates that maybe that's the best for Black, maintaining some advantage, but in human terms, it does look terrifying, and you called it, Tanya. Again, guess the move.
But it's not a great one.
Okay, it's good enough. It's still equal, still balanced. Maybe not winning for Black, but...
yeah.
You know...
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, knight b6 is a good move, but Chad, what do you think Magnus is going to play? You can get involved. Download, take. You know what it is. Of course, we say this all the time. Take. It's time for you to download it, right? Experience chess fandom like never before. Go to chess.com/. take X3 or use exclamation point, take in chat to guess the move on every move here. It's pretty fun to use. I've downloaded the app myself, so it actually is fire. You can follow a lot of players, and I was talking to take yesterday. They're going to add me on there too as well, so we're going to get Tanya and David on there. I think David's already on there, but it's pretty fire, so I'm not going to lie. It's a nice app. 95? That's it.
Okay, this is crazy. What on earth is happening in that position? He's just taken an f7, hits that rook on f7. He's got the bishop opened up right now, that knight hanging. It's tactics everywhere, David.
Tactics galore, but apparently a mistake from Magnus Carlsen. If this were Guess the Move and I were playing, I was about to say to the audience, easy hint. White was about to play knight to c5, hitting this bishop, gaining a time, gaining a tempo. But Magnus refraining from that. He's basically saying, if you move your rook, okay, which was attacked, I'm going to jump in. And again, apparently it's equal. I think Maxim could have flicked in this move, knight takes knight, getting rid of that piece and with an advantage. But that was unnatural.
Yeah.
But just how difficult this position is, every single move by these two great players, we've seen the bar go up and down and go crazy. And that just shows exactly how complicated this is from a human perspective. You know, moving that knight by Maxime, again, it just feels like the move you want to make because you really want to destroy your pawn structure. Turned out to be a mistake. Magnus makes the most natural move, turns out to be an inaccuracy.
Yeah. It's the deep dark forest, right? Mikhail Tal.
2 plus 2 equal to 500 here.
That's right, yeah. Shout out to Grandfather Tal. You know, as my grandfather, you can tell the resemblance. You know, we look just alike, right? So that's, yeah. But it's crazy. I mean, knight e6 is a thing. Bishop h3, trying to get the bishop into the e6 square is a thing. I mean, this is crazy. Look at
those headphones are a thing.
Is this chess or a party? You know, like they got the silent disco on, but there's no dancing, so. Apparently, it's not a party, but everybody's locked in. Look at everyone here. Wow, shout out to you guys. Let's make some noise in there from the audience. Woo! Woo! Yep. They so hyped.
I see one.
Oh, there they go. No, it's awesome. Good to have everyone here at the live audience here in Oslo, Norway.
Thanks for not leaving us hanging in the end. In the meantime, yeah, I think whoever makes the penultimate mistake is going to be the winner in the Carlsen against Vachier-Lagrave game. It's just key not to make the final mistake. And in the meantime, the other one, pretty dramatic as well. It looked like Jan Nepomniachtchi had obtained a big opening advantage, but a bit of a miss apparently on his last move. Firouzja needs to be accurate, though, to stay alive in that match. He's already facing a disadvantage. He's already 2 points down.
G4,
and it's gone a bit wrong.
Crazy. G4, bro, this game is so crazy. I love it.
It's crazy on both sides, left and right. And by the way, on the right side of the board, we've got the blue arrow marking. You need to get on the defense here to protect that d3 pawn. Bishop f1 by Alireza. He needs to find this move to stay in the game. And I think he's reaching out for it.
He's reaching for his bishop. Firouzja still fighting on that board on the right-hand side. Both kings are a bit open on the king side. So actually on all of the, I was going to say all four boards. I'm just looking at all four cameras and everyone looks so stressed, so nervous because the positions are just crazy.
Yeah, that left board, Magnus versus Maxime, it just feels like the house is on fire. It's such a non-standard position. The knight's all over the board. Maxime's got that extra pawn that's still alive, but this deadly pin on the longest diagonal. This is a high-pressure position, and that last move, which gets an exclam by the computer for Magnus Carlsen, has a direct threat. The bishop's hanging. You've got to move that away, and the knight jumps in on e6. It's not stopping at c5.
It's not stopping. Magnus needs to keep playing actively. The blue arrow appears on that left board on our screens. It's all about piece play on that one. Yes, he's 2 pawns down, but the pawns don't become relevant until the endgame. Still a long, long way before that. The middle game first. And yeah, I think that's the most natural move in the position. Magnus is about to reach out for his knight, or one of the knights. There we go, he lands. And, oh, yeah, I mean, all bets are off on this one. I don't know what currency you guys were betting on in the earlier games, but this one, it's so tough to predict what's about to happen next.
Yeah, he has to take the bishop, but what's the follow-up now? How do you keep the momentum? Because you're down 2 pawns. You give black 2 moves to consolidate, bring the rook to the center of the board, put that knight back, offer trades, and Maxime's the one who's pushing here. Once again, it's the arrow to the rescue. Queen d4.
The blue arrow indicates the computer's suggested move, and normally that means that it's significantly better than the second best move. Magnus doesn't play it, though, retreating his knight, and the computer drops. Yeah, I'm not going to read too much into that. That's a very natural move. I was going to say that's maybe the most natural move in the position, hitting the rook, opening up this bishop somewhere along the diagonal. I'm not sure exactly where. Maybe the white queen will still come to d4 next turn.
I really like this move. I mean, if the arrow didn't point out queen d4 earlier, this would be the first move on my radar. That knight can also jump to c5, dislodging the queen, and then that e6 square once Maxime's rook has fallen away from the defense of that key point. Queen d4 in the air, queen d2, queen h6 in the air as well. I don't care about the pawns. It's looking terrifying for black. That said, Maxime's pieces are more active. Right? And all of the queen side for Magnus is far away from play.
It's just not developed. And I think, but I love this practical move 94 because, I mean, you're questioning the rook. Where are you going to go? Like, rook f7 might be a big possibility. And the reason for this is queen d4 could be followed with a bishop h6. So I develop quickly, 2 moves back to back. And of course, if the rook's not on f7, if we do go queen d4, bishop h6, I'm threatening mate. So then you have to defend the mate. Then I swing the a rook into the game. Literally 2 to 3 moves very fast. I get into the game. All my pieces. So let's see where he goes. He goes, F4, big dog, you gotta chill. What is that?
Whoa, double question mark attached to that move. Is it a mistake? Is it a big blunder? I was gonna say he could just leave the rook and chill because he is 2 pawns up. So giving up a rook for knight isn't necessarily the worst material kind of change there in the world. But queen takes queen, the blue arrow shows that queens can come off. The black knight is actually about to be undefended. There's so many consequences to that move.
And Magnus surprised as well. I don't think he was expecting this. Just want to point out that that bishop on c6, the knight on f4, it's eyeing that g2 bishop. So any jump by that central knight opens the pathway for Maxime to get to that bishop on g2. He wants to snap that piece up. An exchange sacrifice. Look at Maxime. He looks so determined right now. I think he finds his position to be better.
Yeah, I think black is much better unless Magnus found that move. He needed to take the queens off. Now he needs to take the rook. And now what he's missed, Maxime, is the rook can attack the black bishop. This was the sting in the tail.
No, he didn't miss it. He moved it instantly. He's like, no, I saw this already. David, what you mean?
But he's the exchange down.
Yeah.
He's got some extra pawns. He's got 2 extra pawns, now 1. And that rook laterally defends the pawn on g4.
And the hesitation. I think he realizes this probably wasn't the greatest. Yeah. But of course, it was very tricky.
I think he saw this rook e6 idea while Magnus was in the tank there, while Magnus was pondering. But now it's such an open board. Sometimes you can fight on the exchange down, rook for knight. Knights are so tricky, but the board is so open that you would think rooks and the white bishop might be the most valuable pieces right now. Ooh, the knights look really clumsy. Neither of them are anchored. They're on loose squares. Magnus has turned this around.
Completely, right? And now that rook on 8 is also tied down to defend the a5 pawn, so you can't bring it to defense, which means that you have to fall back with your active knight to defend on the 7th rank. And if you have to go from offense to defense in this position as black down material, that's bad news. Yeah. Once that bishop comes out into the game for Magnus Carlsen, it's game over. Imagine that dark squared bishop on the longest diagonal. How are you defending this? Bishop b3, bishop d4.
Wow. Rook d8,
shake of head there by Maxime. He knows that he's busted now.
Yeah, he's busted. This is nothing. I mean, rook d8 does rook a5 at the very least as well.
Fortune favoring the brave Magnus here, about to cash in, about to win this game. He's now a full exchange up. It's just rook for knight. The pawn count is level. And yeah, it's just uncharacteristic. That was the word he used in his interview with Mike earlier, Maxime. He said normally he doesn't blunder tactically. If he makes a mistake, it might be strategic or it might be a long-term thing. But no, tactical blunders, it's just this confusing forest that they find themselves in. There are literally no signposts to the right moves. And that one, he missed the 4th or 5th move in a long variation. It's so easy to do, but I mean, these players keeping us on the edges of our seat.
Sometimes you out-tactic yourself, and I think we've all been there, especially if you're an aggressive player, you like tactics, and you're like, oh, I got this line, and then bang, takes, download the app. And then also it's like, oh, snap, I missed this move. And that's the hard part about that.
And that's a big concern, right? Because Maxime's biggest strength is tactics. His biggest strength is aggressive play. So if he's not feeling confident about that or thinking that he's making blunders, that's not a good sign, especially not when you're facing Magnus Carlsen. And meanwhile, Maxime trying to create that A-pass or trying to create some threats. But Magnus's rook and bishop will do a fine job of keeping everything defended. Put that bishop on d4 at the right spot. Take that pawn on a3, bishop d4, f4 coming in. This should not be too tough to convert.
This should be the final stages of this game. But let's zoom out and see if there are any big developments on the other board. Any drama going on there.
Wow.
Whoa.
Alireza has turned this around.
I was about to say, it looked like Nepomniachtchi had everything under control, but just in the last couple of moves, things are turning over there. Maybe we stay on this for a moment. Alireza now going for the Black King. Jan Nepomniachtchi, maybe he took his eye off the ball. He was too focused on one side of the board. And suddenly, let's do a quick count. He's a pawn down.
It's knight takes pawn. If you take on a3, White has got these tactics on the e6 pawn with the queen and the knight combining against the Black King.
Tactics galore. And Jan finally realizing he had 5 minutes, over 5 minutes, when he made a big mistake. On the left side of our screens, Maxime trying to confuse things by dancing around with his knights. But let's just show that last flurry of moves. This is the current position, but it was here after queen to d2 that Jan took his eye off the ball. The knight now attacking this pawn. Queen to c6, already a step in the wrong direction, retreating, and rook to a8, another mistake, allowing a hit on the Black Queen first. The Black Queen dropped back, and yeah, all the takes even. And now what he had missed at the very end, as you pointed out, Tanya. Queen takes pawn, allows knight takes e6, threatening checkmate. No way to stop it other than taking. And now a double attack. White will emerge with 2 extra pawns. What is happening here? It looks like knight takes e5, but now a check. And it's Harry riding forward to kick away the Black Knight. Harry the h-pawn.
Yeah, Alireza up a pawn, and it looks like he's poised to make a comeback and go on 1-2 here, because h5 is a threat. How are you stopping that? Knight takes pawn always in the air. This is looking great. And meanwhile, Maxime struggling here. The knights look tricky, but they've got no help. That rook on a8 isn't coming to its rescue. You know, you put that rook on the second rank, and you're talking a different game. But I think it's Magnus who's coming for Maxime's king.
If you give Black an extra pawn, bishop, rook, queen anywhere near the White King, it's checkmate. But Maxime Vachier-Lagrave on the left side there, just lacking pieces. He doesn't have enough ammunition to cause any trouble. And Magnus has some devastating checks of his own up his sleeve.
But does he have time to put that rook on the c file, enter on the second rank, and start threatening some checkmating ideas, or too slow?
He's got to try. He's got to try something. But okay, he moves his knights. And now Magnus, can he start? Oh, he forks the 2 Black Knights. They're lined up. Easy pickings for the White Rook. This might be the final move of that game. Magnus about to take the win.
Start a new one. Hit the button.
Wow.
Another miss, another uncharacteristic move by Maxime walking into this double attack. But the position was bad already, and we can see. I think he's going to play on a little bit, but what's the next move? You have to go knight e1?
Yeah, that doesn't even work, really. I mean, you just take it, really, but...
White will be left with an extra bishop, no matter what. And Maxime still with a bit of time on the clock, nearly 2 minutes, but...
You could push that b pawn, but that doesn't help either. It's just choosing from bad to worse, and he does go for that move. Down a piece now.
Yeah, it's just clinical, very easy.
Magnus adjusting his bishop for a moment there. I thought he was about to move it, but even moving the bishop would have been totally fine. But okay, a check. He's going to grab some pawns. The Black b pawn is kept under lock and key by the White bishop.
The king moves up, keeps everything defended, and it's handshakes, and Magnus Carlsen once again takes the lead.
Carlsen, very good game there. It was very wild, of course, MVL to out-tactic himself here, but Magnus was able to navigate better and win that one there. We still have another game left.
We still have another game, and it's Jan Nepomniachtchi fighting to maintain his 2-point lead in that match. But Alireza Firouzja looks like he's likely to bounce back. With the white pieces, he still has an extra pawn. We're in the endgame now. Not much has changed since we were last here, other than the queen's coming off, but it's all about the A pawn. It's a runner.
Yeah, but you're not going to have that extra pawn for too long, right? Because Black can actually snap up the D3 pawn. And then it all comes down to how fast is it, the A pawn versus the Black Knight?
That's a good question. Rook pawns, in fact, in Devereski, page 247, it does talk about the knights being the worst piece for a rook pawn. So
he's calculating. He's thinking about it. Is he going to go for it? Will he get greedy right now? Because otherwise, Jan's bishop on the corner of the board, even on our screen, looks like a pawn.
Yeah, I think he just has to grit his teeth, take the pawn, and pray that a knight endgame he can hold. Should still be winning for white. And it's not just one rook pawn, we shouldn't forget. A and H available for white. He's going to use the two pawns, the trousers as they call it sometimes. The two trouser legs, the A pawn, one trouser leg, the H pawn. They're marching, and they're going to cost Black a piece. I'm surprised he took with the knight, though. Why not with the bishop? That was very odd from Jan Nepomniachtchi. Now he's going to have to give up his knight for that white A pawn.
Immediately, without really even having the time to push your own pawns, which could have been a possibility in the other line had he captured with the bishop. Jan about to go down a piece. Not vibing right now.
So his goal is to trade pawns. If we get rid of the pawns, now the bishop and knight mate is definitely possible here. We can see something like that happening, but get rid of these pawns, he definitely has something.
I want to point one defensive idea here, David, that white H-pawn is the wrong color as the bishop. So Alireza has to make sure that his knight doesn't get traded and the F-pawn stays alive. Any endgame where he has an extra bishop and only the H-pawn, that's a draw for Jan. He will save that.
Yeah, bishop and wrong-coloured rook's pawn. That is the key. The white H-pawn promotes on a dark square. The white bishop is on light squares, so not the best duo in the world. But while the knight remains alive, it's a tricky piece to trade off here. The knight, then Firouzja should be winning this game. But still some hard work to be done. Pass pawn's there to be pushed. He's pushing it as far down the board.
And meanwhile, Jan trying to get his pawns move up the board, the central pawns. He first defends, gets his king to defend that pawn. But I think he knows it himself that Alireza will convert this one. Unless there's a massive blunder, Alireza has this. 25 seconds should be enough with a 2-second increment.
It should be, but strange things have happened on the Champions Chess Tour. When the clock ticks down, the mind goes out the window, even for the very best players in the world. And Jan now, he's going back for that H-pawn that has maybe overstepped. No, it will be protected by its knight, or at least the path towards it will be guarded by the white knight.
Yeah, you know, I get your point. In 20 seconds, you have to find a plan, right? How are you improving the position? How are you making progress right now? And Alireza, he does take the decision to also take away the G5 square from the black king in case it got too close to the H-pawn.
The king shuffles over. And Alireza does look slightly nervous, and understandably, because this is so important in this game. He needs the win. He will be kicking himself if he lets this one slip.
That's a good move. He also has 10 seconds.
He's putting the pressure. That D pawn is moving forward, James.
Here we go.
Both pawns are moving forward, potentially.
Predictions, go!
Oof!
Draw. Oh, draw. We saw the bar. Draw. Draw.
A big blunder by Alireza.
He's keeping his pawn on. He wants to use his pieces to force through the H-pawn, but now the black king is coming.
And it's going to gobble up the H-pawn.
Oh, my goodness. Yep. And now, you better be careful not to lose. 2 seconds on the clock.
Oh, my gosh.
0 seconds, really.
Wow. Oh, Alireza.
Oh, he was flagged.
He played with less than 1 second on the clock in that position. The H-pawn's gone. And I don't think it matters what's happening on the clock because Jan's back in the game.
If anyone's going to win this, it's Jan Nepomniachtchi now. Right. Those pawns are just more powerful than the white pieces. And Firouzja needs to keep his bishop defending his pawn. He's frozen. The black king is coming. Oh, repeating the position.
He might have just taken the draw, bro.
And he does. Oof. The eye contact, handshakes, and Jan Nepomniachtchi, he survives. It's 2.5 to half. What a miss by Alireza.
Very tough. Of course, when you have time this low, it happens. Head shake from Jan there. But of course, even Alireza, even more of a head shake is he was winning that game. He had everything he wanted, but he didn't have enough time. And of course, the time is really a big issue here, this fast format. Jan is 1 game away from clinching the match.
Wow, that felt like the golden opportunity. That was his shot. That was his chance, Firouzja. He let it slip, though.
And he played a beautiful game, right? He found all the tactics, kept everything under control. And looking at that scoreline, that second match could be over in the next game itself.
It is possible as Jan looks like he gets the white pieces. And of course, he was already scored already once with the white pieces here. Alireza is going to have to play his best game and not allow Jan to win to clinch the match. Magnus, on the other hand, is 2-1. He's feeling a little bit happier there. He also is placing MVL, who needs to get back on the board here, but very important.
And the white pieces are doing the talking in this match, right? All 3 victories by white in Magnus versus Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, and it's Magnus with the 2-1 lead. We saw the crowd there. They're having the time of their lives. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, will he strike back? And will Jan take the match in the next game? He starts with white, David.
Jan starts with white. He could play it solid. He's so close now. He just needs 1 more point from the next 3 games. So even a draw would be a great result for him. A draw would also be fantastic for Magnus, just to break this streak of losing with black. And yeah, the players with the white pieces, pressure on them to continue that momentum going. Wow, what a battle we're facing, witnessing here.
There's so much to unravel here, David. I know you have something for us today that you can just there's so much to choose from. We're spoiled. David, what do you have?
And I'm going to choose the one decisive game from that round where Magnus Carlsen did take the win against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. It was a crazy battle, chaotic opening, pieces flying all over the board, and it was here that Maxime Vachier-Lagrave made the decisive slip. The black rook is attacked, and understandably, he wanted to not have to retreat here, not play on the back foot, the white queen potentially coming up with some nasty checks if the black rook moves, but the best move was to actually slide it, not retreat, to slide it across to e6. And there's some tension here, the whole concept being that if the white knight jumps forward, I think the reason Maxime Vachier-Lagrave rejected this move, now you can jump out the way simply with a capture, a check, and then move the black queen. Your 2 pawns up. The attack is starting to diminish now, and Maxime would have been a favorite. Instead, he tried to solve his problems tactically, but knight to f4 was a blunder. In order to figure out why, though, we had to look a few moves down the line. A queen trade was the first order of business for Magnus Carlsen. Then he captured the black rook. This had all been seen by Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, but here, after another capture, it looks like the white rook is attacked, the white knight is attacked, white in big trouble. For example, rook takes pawn check would lose the game for white, but Magnus found the only move, the narrow path to victory, rook to e6, and for the first time in the match, loose pieces drop off, a counterattack against the loose bishop, which defends this loose knight, and once the dust settled, Magnus Carlsen emerged with an extra rook for knight, an exchange advantage, and converted flawlessly.
Amazing. I mean, this was nothing but, obviously, guys. I mean, this is just crazy. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just back and forth between those two. Like, I win, you win. I win, you win, Tanya. I win, you win, Tanya. No, I'm winning.
We all win. Everyone wins. The chess world wins right now looking at these battles, James. But, you know, I was looking at the accuracy there. 91.7% for Magnus and 84.6% for Maxime. That's pretty low for Maxime's level. You know, usually he's always 90 plus when he's playing against Magnus. That's the level that's required. And we saw that one blunder there in that game review. It was that move you pointed out, knight f4. Yeah. You know, Maxime said it, and he's got to make that stop. You can't afford to do that because there's no comeback against a player like Magnus. Maxime goes with white, and I think it's absolutely essential. You know, he struck back instantly. Last time he was trailing, can he do it again?
Can he do it again? Of course, that is the big question. Well, of course, my client caught it with Magnus right after that game. Let's see what he had to say.
We're here with Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen, who has struck back with another win as white. The 3-for-3 white is so far in this match. Let me ask you, do you play any differently after a loss? It seemed like you were very aggressive. You played almost no backward moves today.
Yeah, I mean, I was just tilted after losing the previous game, so that was it.
And you played 7 rookie, 1 famously played by Gukesh in the World Championship. Do you think those take recaps might have helped you a little bit, give you some ideas?
Yeah, I guess a bit. I just thought, like, since he plays the Grunfeld all the time, let me try it. Like, it's an interesting move. Like, it's not great for white, but it leads to fun positions, and for my mood, it suited me really well.
Do you think you can possibly keep up this level of excitement? I mean, the games have been really crazy so far.
I really hope not. I mean, last black game, I had a better position after 10 moves and then lost position after 15. So I hope it will be less exciting than that.
Okay, Magnus strikes back. He's up 2-1. Back to you guys in the studio.
And wow, of course, we hear from Magnus. It's amazing. He's like, oh, I'm back. You know, I was a little tilted. But we also have another one with Jan too as well. So there's another interview for you guys. So let's see what he had to say. Let's go.
We're here with Grandmaster Jan Nepomniachtchi. He leads 2.5 to 1/2. Tell me about that final position where you got the H pawn. Got to be unexpected.
You mean like which one? When I won like this one?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a nice gift, but maybe like in Blitz it's not so routine. Like it's not such a routinely winning position because there is always like if I exchange all the pawns and bishop for a knight, it's a draw. So I mean, maybe like if I just stay and wait. Of course, it's winning, but maybe it's practically not so obvious.
It seems like you're really on form so far. Those first 2 games looked really good, especially game 2. You were just positional squeeze. Did you enjoy that type of game?
Well, I was a bit confused by his queen to 6 move, but I mean, like he plays Sicilian for something fighting, and then he just queen to 6 traded the queens right away. So this was a bit surprising, but yeah, it was a good game I think from me. But it wasn't anything special. Yeah, like I made all the natural moves.
All right, Jan Nepomniachtchi in control in his match against Alireza Firouzja. Now back to you in the studio.
Games are coming up very soon. Can we get some hype from chat, from the live audience? David, Tanya, can you scream at the top of your lungs? That was weak. That was very, very weak. Oh,
Is that better?
Yeah, okay, that was better. Nice. No, we have more games.
I need Mike to ask.
Where's the audience? Hold on, there we go.
Let's go. Yeah, woo. I need Mike to ask Jan about his sweater though at some point.
Yeah, we have to.
Is that his lucky sweater?
That's the lucky sweater, bro. And where can we get it? All right, put some COE on that actually as well. Okay.
Okay, the countdown, the handshake, the first move, it is pawn to e4 that's brought Maxime a lot of success. He has been squeezing Magnus in the Spanish and been doing a very good job of eking out these small advantages. And it's just about whether Magnus has something new in store over these first few moves. This is the Roy Lopez, the Spanish opening. Magnus now going for the Marshall, the Marshall Gambit. And okay, instead there have been a trade of pawns, the anti-Marshall, as they call it. Magnus is one of the leading experts as black in this line. Maxime pointed out he hasn't lost for years in classical chess in this opening, Magnus. But in rapid, that's a whole different story. And this position, or this type of position, was seen consistently throughout the 2021 World Championship match with Jan Nepomniachtchi on the white side against Magnus. Interesting theoretical battle.
And we've seen marshals in so many World Championships, right, dating back in 2004 as well between Peter Leko and Vladimir Kramnik. And like you said, Magnus has played it in his match too. We've got this position where the queen side, the A and B pawns are off the board. That's liquidated. So it's often about the central break. White trying to aim for the D4 pawn break at the right time. And I want to just go back to Magnus's interview, right, David, where he said he felt he was on tilt. I want that Magnus kind of tilt. When we go on tilt, we lose all the games. Magnus just strikes back immediately. How does he do it, James?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's just more experience, and also having 5 world championships under your belt, that might help as well. And also having a sports psychology, working on that, of course. I know he does, Magnus has a team behind him, having stuff like that. I actually did work with slightly for a few months with a sports psychologist, actually. It was insane, the methods that they use and breath work and etc. for chess, which is insane. So Magnus has a whole nother level of that.
Yeah, and talking of players with another level, it is Jan Nepomniachtchi and Alireza Firouzja. Firouzja has to go to another level, show that killer instinct that was lacking in the previous game where he was on the brink of victory but couldn't strike back. He's still 2 points down. Jan Nepomniachtchi, if he wins, is through to the final. And we see an open Sicilian. It's a Sicilian Najdorf.
Big fan.
Love to see it, right? It's a game that, well, if you draw, that's not really good news because you're then just delaying the inevitable. It puts Jan Nepomniachtchi half a point away from match victory, from clinching the match victory. So to create chances with black, I love this style, love the approach by Alireza in the opening. What do we make of Jan choosing this setup, a more safe setup against the Najdorf?
That's right, not the fiery opposite side castling that we might be craving here in the studio, that I know James would be loving and jumping up and down about right now, but instead, same side castling, more positional battle, despite the fact it's a Sicilian defense between Nepomniachtchi and Firouzja. It feels like this is the moment where we will see a couple of long pauses by both, on both boards actually, just as they come up and try to generate some middle game plans, a bit of maneuvering ahead. What do we think the odds of Firouzja bouncing back are? Got to be slim, right? But if anyone's capable, must be him.
I think he needs to win. He needs to get this one win in. If he does it with the black pieces, it's match on. A draw right now, I think that just delays the inevitable. Because it's 3.5 points to a match victory. The moment Jan gets to 3 points, it's almost like sealing the deal. So for Alireza with black, I think essential to get this point. What a huge miss by him in this last game as well, right?
Yeah, it's a huge miss, obviously, but there's still more chess left. You got to always tell yourself that, especially in this game with Firouzja too as well. I mean, this is actually the line that, no, you don't get a lot of winning chances, I should say, with black. It's just more difficult because the plan here generally is knight bd7. You go queen c7, and you can go rook f or a to c8. You go knight c5. And you really can get some good positions here, but I think Jan chose an excellent choice when it comes to his match strategy of which Najdorf Sicilian variation to play. I actually like this move from Firouzja because going to mainline stuff here is already worked out. It's, you know, black's cool, it's equal, but I don't need equal if I'm Firouzja here. I need something that gives me chances to attack, which maybe we probably should have chose a different type of Sicilian or something where white couldn't go this route. So a5 I do like, makes it a little bit different. Maybe a4, of course, Jan is now thinking. I don't think he was expecting that main move being knight bd7. So Interesting now. Now some play. Let's see what he plays. Bishop e3, yeah, natural. a4 and then knight d2, maybe.
Yeah, the black pawn's marching forward. The one downside behind marching the a pawn so far down the board is that you do leave holes. This square is potentially going to be used by a bishop later on. The square in front of it, b5, is also a juicy outpost for white's pieces. But yeah, he's aiming to kick back the white knight at some point, and the black knight also has launch pads, launch squares towards the white queen. Tanya, what are your thoughts on these early stages? Is this the type of position that's going to suit Firouzja and his needs for this game?
I would think so, right? It's an imbalance right now, but again, where are you creating those big chances? I like this last move by Jan. It stops the idea of the knight b4 jumping in, attacking the c2 pawn. And that queen from d3 where Jan's put it, it's so flexible because there can be moments that it slides over to the right side of the board once the bishop gets out of the way, and also that b5 point. Queen to b5, putting pressure on b7. So much of these knight-offs are around that d5 square, right? Imagine queen b5, and white is able to put that knight on d5. How is black creating those winning chances right now? So knight off, a very attacking opening, but when your opponent plays this strategic fight, it's hard to imagine it exploding.
Yeah, that's why I've never dabbled too much with the Sicilian knight off. Firstly, you have to learn these wild variations. You need to learn reams and reams of theory just to survive as black often. But you do get counter chances. The downside as well is that you also have to learn this type of positional maneuvering where if the opponent just sits on you, looks at this backward d pawn and just covers the square in front of it, then it's very hard to generate play. So Firouzja has that dilemma right now. Nepomniachtchi is also one of the world's leading experts in the Sicilian knight-off. He knows all the plans for black, therefore he knows what he's most scared of as white. It looks like he's chosen one of those variations.
And right now he's thinking whether he wants to commit his pawn to a4 because it's a very attractive move. You push white's knight back, but that pawn on a4 can become a big weakness, can become a big target. Once that knight goes to d2, queen comes to b5, you're targeting not only b7, but that pawn on a4 as well. So he's got to be really careful of timing those pawn advances. Meanwhile, a lot of action on the other board as well. David, while Alireza dabbles on his next move, should we take a look at the Magnus board?
Yeah, let's zoom out there. The Vachier-Lagrave against Carlsen board. I mean, that's simplified so quick. We talked about how it was this anti-martial, this Spanish opening, which was very slow, very maneuvering. But I don't like what's happened for white in the past 5-10 moves. It feels like Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, I don't know, momentum not on his side. The black knight has a beautiful path towards the white king.
And that's... Sorry, David.
Yeah, I was going to say positional danger here.
And that's the big difference, right? That f4 square, the path to the white king that you were alluding to, is so accessible for black. There's no pawn that can control it. Meanwhile, the f5 knight has just been pushed back. Knight to d5 right now has a big threat. f6 square under attack, guarded. Maxime, he's trying to come in with the pieces, but look at Magnus. He puts that knight. It's a great defender right now to c7. Once he can defend that pawn with his rook, that knight will jump to f4. Also want to point out, at the right time, c6 is what you want. But be careful of the f7 weakness.
Yeah, Magnus leans back. Bit of a frown on his face. He knows he has full control right now, but yeah, he knows that tactics have decided most of their games so far today, so no room for blunders there. Magnus making a bit of a face. What do we make of that? Just enjoying his position? Okay.
It depends. I think he wants to go c6. He wants to kick that central knight out. Magnus had the option to go knight to f4 check and trade those knights, right? Which essentially would have been an equal game. I think this last move means that Magnus is ambitious. He wants to first get c6 in and only then plant his knight on f4. What do you make of that, James?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, rook f8 was obviously to defend f7. We play c6, the knight moves, and then knight comes into f4. Very strong ideas. You also have rook h8. So once knight f4 happens, rook h8, and then this is GG, start a new one. Like you literally, it's 2 moves away. Knight f4, rook h8, well, really 3 with c6. So the question is, can we stop to c6 first? Are there any tactics available to us? Don't see anything right now. Knight b4, knight f4, nope, doesn't work. Yeah, this is not looking good for Maxime.
I think he's going to do it. I think Magnus is going to push that knight out from the center.
Yeah, it's the logical continuation of his previous move, the black rook coming to f8, as you mentioned, Tanya, just defending the pawn in front of it. So why not, now that danger has been parried, play the move c6. Of course, there's always a bit of doubt in your mind when you see a white rook perched on the 7th rank. Targets here, the black king, but nothing concrete, no reason not to drive the white knight away and plant your own knight.
You know, David, usually when players are twiddling with the pieces, it's just one of them, right? I saw Magnus with both of them. He was juggling while enjoying the position. That's not going to be good for Maxime when you're like, hey, stop juggling the pieces. I mean, how much are you enjoying this with black?
It's fun. I actually like to use 2 pawns or twirl 1 or 2 pawns at the board, of course. It's always fun. Do you twirl pawns at the board, David?
Yes.
Tanya, what about you?
Yeah, but just one. I don't know how to do the two pawn movement.
The 2 pawn movement is you can do it on your move because it is as distracting to your opponent on their move, in fact. So.
You know who's the world champion of twirling?
Who is
the
it?
pawn? It's got to be Boris Gelfand.
Really?
I've never seen that kind of speed.
Boris Gandalf. I mean, Gelfand. He's the master. He was actually the inspiration, Boris Gelfand, behind our book, Grind Like a Grandmaster.
Ah, nice. Which I have as well. It's great on Chessable, by the way. It's an excellent book. Goes through David Howe's games, who actually beat a lot of good players in that book. And MVL shows as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, Magnus shows. Oh, F6, that's kind of crazy. And Barcelona doesn't like it either.
Wow, that is
6?
Very surprising.
I don't know, David, what's happening?
Magnus wants to fight for the 7th rank. He's going to put his rook next to his king now on there we go, on F7. But the white rooks look beautiful. I think there were actually some tactics that allowed black a decisive advantage, or at least a clear advantage, if Magnus hadn't gone for this. But he's trying to play solid. He knows he's up in the match.
And this looks visually super terrifying for black, but Magnus has the resource of that knight not only going to F4, but to C5 as well, from where it can drive out that rook on the 7th rank. And then perhaps we'll see the move C6.
Yeah, he's got every avenue covered, Magnus. He doesn't have too many weaknesses. White does have kingside weaknesses. That is the key. White would love to push that G4 pawn back 1 square. If actually the white pawn were on G3, Maxime would have a massive advantage. But it's all about the black knight's potential versus the white knight's current strengths. And okay, the black knight drives back one of the white rooks. This one looks like it's going to maneuver around for a while, but in the meantime, Alireza Firouzja, look at the clock. It is getting dramatic. He's under 3 minutes now.
We've seen this story so many times. Every single game, the clock has played a big role for Alireza. You know, he's made those critical mistakes. He missed out a win in the last game because he didn't have enough time in a winning position. He lost the first 2 games because he was playing on seconds. And once again, Jan with almost a 6-minute lead.
6-minute lead, 1 pawn lead on the board. Jan has just gobbled up a pawn. And there's a double attack in the air. The black rook in the corner on the right board of our screens right now. Okay, was attacked. Okay, this knight is hanging. I guess the X-ray vision of the black rook on the D2 knight is keeping things intact. But a pawn is a pawn. Jan up now on board and clock.
And that looks like a very healthy pawn, right? I understand the point that one of your pieces lands on D2. I'm expecting Jan to actually take on C5. It feels like the only move right now. He's calculating not this move, but the next 3 moves. What happens after the trades, after the dust settles? How does he continue once the black queen lands on that square where the white knight currently sits, the D2 square? Guys, this could be a match in 4 for Jan with that extra pawn.
This could be the final game we see of Alireza Firouzja today. He looked up there. He looked at the screen. I'm not sure what he was checking out there. Maybe just not wanting to look at the board right now. As expected, the white queen saves herself, takes a knight. The black rook also takes a knight, so again, it's 1 pawn advantage for Nepomniachtchi. If he doesn't get checkmated, he's going to win this game. It's that simple.
But the pieces are coming off, right? There's one thing that Alireza's counting on, that black knight jumping to D4. But look at this beautiful queen on C5, tying that knight down to defend the E5 pawn as well. He brings the bishop back to defense. I see the bar didn't like it, but to me, it just looks like a good move. You know, you keep your king side defended. Why not? And your queen's doing a brilliant job. Knight takes bishop in the air, knight D5 in the air.
Yeah, and very instructive for everyone at home that he didn't take this bishop, which was my first instinct because it would have opened up the black rook. And yes, the F2 pawn is defended by the white queen right now, but that would have been severed, the connection between the queen and pawn with knight D4. I don't really know what Firouzja was thinking about, I was about to say, until he played this move, knight to D4. The only resource for black.
Bishop D3. Wow, that is interesting.
And it's tough as well, right? Because he could have played that move on the last move.
Right.
Jan could have put that bishop on D3. So realizing that that F1 square is perhaps a mistake, from a human perspective, it's the toughest thing to do, to admit your mistake and put it on a better square.
Yeah, moving it twice is not ideal. But I mean, okay, black, my rook on F8 is not doing much. I don't have any bishop H3 ideas yet. I'm trying to get queen G5, bishop H3, and of course, we're looking to attack. That's what Firouzja does, of course. We all love to attack, and you have to get this over there, but it's going to take a few moves. Bishop D3, queen G5, 96, 96. I mean, yeah, this is not what we want to fight. Now, if we could get 96 in, that'd be great. Bishop d3, maybe queen g5 to go bishop h3.
James,
idea.
what are the chances that Jan plays bishop d3? He finds it.
Yeah.
He
See,
plays
it's
it.
the best way to defend the pawn. If
He's on
c3, we have
fire.
queen b2 as well. So it's the best way to defend it.
Yeah, the pawn and bishop just keep each other intact. Jan shaking his head, though.
Yeah, it's not a move that he made happily, you know. It's not something that he feels proud about, that you fall back to f1, then bring your bishop back to d3. I think it's process of elimination. No other way to keep things together, so bishop d3, only move.
Yeah, he still has the advantage, but it could have been more. I think he's just a bit of a perfectionist, Jan Nepomniachtchi, so he could have actually had this position with himself to move, rather than Firouzja. But I think it's nothing too dramatic now. He composed himself, found the best move. That's the most important thing. Throwing pride aside, that's a key to being a good chess player. Sometimes you have to admit that you lose time, make mistakes, and just get on with things, play the current position. And yeah, James, I'm expecting your move actually, queen to g5, but for Firouzja, it's a retreating move. 1 minute on the clock, one pawn down. It's so dramatic right now for him.
Well, e5 is hanging too, so queen g5 makes a lot of sense.
He does it.
e5 is hanging, bishop h3 is a threat. You don't want to go g3. Maybe king h1. Engine doesn't like it, but who cares? I mean, it's a very practical move. King h1 might be a possibility.
I like it. I think that's the most practical. Give this white rook. He plays it. Of course he does.
King h1, and then now there I don't have anything.
I think you've taken the lead and guessed the move, James.
Yes, I am a Jedi. Sometimes I forget. h5, h4, h3. That's nice. I like it. Maybe h3.
It's getting tricky.
Firouzja just plays better with 1 minute on his clock than with 10. But oh, what a nice move from Jan. Threatening now, pawn to f4. He's sensed the tension between the white queen and the black queen on the 5th rank, and pawn to f4 might tip the black defenses over. Okay, queen to f4. Still two active pieces. The queen and knight. Blue arrow appears yet again. Knight to d5. I would say it's maybe the most natural move, or one of the most natural moves. But it's still unclear the consequences there, so it's definitely not over yet. It's just about the clock.
Yeah, there are all these tactics in the air, right? Knight d5, I really like it because it forces black's hand a bit. But give Alireza a move or two, right? h4 and then knight f3 tactics in the air. Because you're threatening checkmate against the white king, even if you sacrifice that knight on the square.
Yeah, let's actually show that. Let's jump in while Jan thinks. It's likely to be a long think, because pawn to c3 right now. Oh, he plays f3. Oh, that was a good move. But I was about to say pawn to c3. Let's just quickly show the pitfalls. Would have allowed knight to f3 ideas, attacking, threatening checkmate, and your idea, Tanya, suddenly crowned by checkmate. Instead, of course, you have to bring defenses to your king, hence the decision to play pawn to f3. A bit of an ugly move, but covering this square now with the rook. Finally, c3, h3, piece sacrifice on the board. To take this knight or not to take this knight? Is this turning?
I mean, is there
Look at the bar.
I take the knight.
He's done it.
Yes.
He accepts the bait, and he missed queen d2. It's a move that he missed, and it's on the board. Alireza plays it.
Oh, it's winning. Oh my goodness. Rook g1 takes, check, and bishop h3. Wow.
Oh my gosh, I think he was relying on queen back to c2, defending x-ray vision there, but pawn takes g2 is actually a threat as well with a fork, and a deadly one. This is suddenly over.
It's beautiful.
And the line that James pointed out, it actually finishes in the end once the bishop joins the party on that g2 pin that you're going to end up with.
Is there queen c2 there, though?
No, you take g2 and then you take d3.
And take d3.
I think we're going to see that being played out. Right now, this is Alireza's moment. We're zoomed into the players, and I think Jan Nepomniachtchi, he realizes this is over. It's the kind of mistake that there's no comeback from. You're either getting checkmated or you're losing big material right now.
Unbelievable. The tactinos. You have to get the pieces off the board when playing Alireza.
This is Alireza at his best.
I told you, with 1 minute on his clock, he gets so tricky. He's inside his opponent's head. The opponents cannot think. And he turns on the style for Firouzja. But for Jan, he's going to be kicking himself. He had over 5 minutes when he blundered. He had a clear extra pawn. That knight to d5 move was maybe the key, but he didn't find it. And suddenly, wow, it's totally turned. He takes off the black pawn. Now, I think Firouzja just needs to take the white bishop. There we go.
Out.
Rook.
He's about to do it. Hit the rook. That black bishop will take the pawn on h3. The white rook needs to stay connected to the f3 pawn. d4 is hanging.
Everything's hanging.
That's beautiful play here.
The back rank's hanging at some point.
Very nice tactics.
The white king is caught in a checkmating net. That's the key. And also the white queen, white knight. They are off. Don't know where they're off in right now. They are offside, simply not participating in the battle at all.
They look super active, but they're so far away from their own king to bring any defense. And that pawn on d4 stops the white queen from coming back as well. It's sort of like Jan's own pieces are coming in his own way right now. How do you defend this?
Use this rook up.
Pick up the h3 pawn, David, and the back rank ideas on the board.
Only move.
3. You might have to go queen c1, which is really ugly. Queen c2 instead.
And Firouzja is going to try and get his queen in. Any back rank check is checkmate now. So he needs to keep queens on the board. Yet she takes a pawn. Maybe not the best, though, and the bar goes back up.
Oh, my God, and he's got 12 seconds again. It's the clock one more time for Alireza.
Great defense from Jan here. But of course, in the time, 6 seconds, 5, 4, he makes a move.
B6? What is that? That's pure panic. That move does not improve the black position. Suddenly the queen, okay, this was the intention to save his queen. He wanted to bring his rook in, you know, but he just forgot about knight fork on e7, and suddenly it's an endgame, and Jan in the driver's seat. The knight better than the bishop suddenly. No more checkmates.
And it's the black spawns that are going to come under fire with the white rook lining up against them. Look at that beautiful knight on d5. And once more, Jan's turned it around and we've got a result.
There's a draw between Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Magnus Carlsen. We left it with the position very balanced. They traded off all the pieces and eventually a perpetual check. So a very high-class draw over there. But the drama is on this board.
And this last move by Jan, he's ambitious in this game now. He's absolutely safe. His pawns cannot be targeted. Alireza trying to get that f5 move in, improve the position of his own king first. King comes to g7. But just compare Jan's rook to Alireza's rook. That knight on c3, tying down the black rook to defense. Jan's about to win material.
Ooh, there we go. A missed move by Firouzja there.
Dang, that's it.
Oh, he dropped a pawn. Gets active with his rook, but it's not going to be enough. The white king's going to defend everything.
He needs to draw this game. He needs to save this game to stay alive. A loss and he's out. He's eliminated. He's got 6 seconds on the clock.
He needs a miracle, Firouzja. And look at this, Magnus Carlsen watching on. Oh, he's simply a pawn down. Again, it's the A-pawn. It's always past A-pawns in these games between these two. Marching down the board. The white rook's going to support that.
Rook b5.
C5 is falling. If you get the rook to defend, the A-pawn will be unstoppable. He's reaching out for it. He doesn't even stop. His speed. Unreal. This is some incredible form we are seeing by Jan Nepomniachtchi.
There we go.
And Jan Nepomniachtchi moves on. Alireza Firouzja is officially eliminated. Wow.
He's our first finalist and he waits for his opponent now. It's going to be Jan Nepomniachtchi versus either Magnus Carlsen or Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. A match in 4 for Nepomniachtchi. I don't think many would have predicted that. Or any would have predicted that.
Firouzja is so strong, so dangerous, and displayed fantastic chess over the last few days, but ultimately, Jan is the man on fire. And he showed it today, he showed it yesterday. He's going to be hard to stop. He's in the final.
He's in the final. We made it to the ship. The championship round. Jan Nepomniachtchi takes down Alireza Firouzja, commanding 3.5 to a half. Magnus Carlsen and MVL still 2 games to go, with Magnus being 1 game away from going to the finals as well. So MVL is going to try to look to win in this one. But as we see the bracket there, Jan has made it to the final as he waits for his opponent. Is it Magnus or is it MVL? Place your bets in the chat. Don't put the house on it. So what do you think, David and Tanya, so far?
Well, Jan, it's well-deserved. He showed fantastic form today. Yes, there was a small blip in that last game we saw, but ultimately Firouzja spent too long on the clock and was punished for it.
I mean, 3.5 to half, that's a big, big statement. And that also against Alireza Firouzja. I mean, Alireza is an absolute beast in these formats.
Correct.
Jan Nepomniachtchi, I mean, like you said, Jan is the man right now. And he's showing exceptional form. I'm still stunned by what we just saw. And his ability to turn around worse positions as well today. You know, Alireza, I think it all came down to the clock management.
Absolutely. In fact, David, I mean, I know you have something for us after all of that just happened. What do you have for us, David?
I do indeed. And it was the final moments, the dramatic moments between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Alireza Firouzja, where Firouzja missed his last chance to stay alive in the Champions Chess Tour finals. And it was here. It's been a bit of a turnaround already. Firouzja was lost when we joined this game. But this moment, Jan gave him a golden chance. White needed to retreat the knight, bring it back into the action, attacking the black queen, getting pieces off the board. Instead, pawn to c3, simply too slow. This allowed Firouzja to strike with a beautiful piece sacrifice, not moving the knight, not losing time, going straight for the white king. And after this knight was captured, the black queen pounced. She came in, threatening checkmate, also threatening to take this pawn with his own pawn with a nasty fork. The capture now on h3 allowed the black queen to snack on the white bishop. And it was here we saw the drama unfold. Queen back to c2. Checkmate has been prevented. Black has won the piece back, however. And Firouzja, if he had found the move, queen to e3 might well have kept this game alive, might well have had a shot at the finals. The idea is simple. Back rank checkmate. If the black queen slides across, only now do you trade queens and you bring your rook across because the rook has its sights set on the white back rank. Rook to c2 forced. Pawn takes pawn instead. The pawn will deflect the white rook. You'll win the white knight. He missed this opportunity, instead rewinding, taking on d4, and suddenly after knight to d5, the black queen found herself trapped in the center of the board, and Jan went on to win the game.
And that's the whole point, right? For these kind of tactics and this calculation, you need those extra seconds on the clock, James. And we saw this time and time again that Alireza never had time in those critical moments. David, you said it, Alireza plays best with a minute on the clock, but it's so tough to keep up that level when you're playing against a dangerous opponent like Jan, move after move. And then we've got this on our hands, a match in 4, complete domination by Nepomniachtchi.
We know that, Jan moves very fast as well. He's just known to be a very fast player. Of course, Firouzja is too as well, but Jan being strong and fast, I mean, 2-time world championship challenger. You can I'm both, in fact, strong and fast, right? So it was difficult for Firouzja. He just couldn't find his footing there. And of course, this could have shifted if he was able to, but, Jan was in great form and was able to clinch it. Now he's in the final.
Yeah, for Jan now, it's about whether he can go that final step. Can he win the Champions Chess Tour? He was runner-up, of course, twice in the World Championship, 3 times, I believe, in World Rapid Championships, in the World Fischer Random as well, runner-up. So he's now in the final, but getting that final step, whether it's Magnus or Maxime, that's the key.
Yeah, it means everything to Jan.
Means everything as he's made it to the final. There's action today has been absolutely insane. We're going to get to game 5, but first we have a giveaway. Oh yeah, we have a giveaway. Like chess, a Rubik's Cube is all about learning the right combination of moves. Rubik's, chess.com, and Grammy-nominated Logic have teamed up for an epic giveaway. Don't miss your chance to win a chess set and a Rubik's Cube signed by Logic, plus a 1-year diamond membership on chess.com. For more information on how to enter the giveaway, visit go.chess.com/logic or use command logic in chat right now. Nepo has advanced to the final. Meanwhile, Carlsen and Maxime have finally given us a draw. For our subscribers, look forward to the break. Top players try out chess up boards. David, Tanya, and I will be back in just a few minutes for the finale of Magnus Carlsen and MVL. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Logic, and you're watching the Champions Chess Tour Finals. More after the break.
All I ever wanted was like to be accepted by people and this and that. But I'm walking into hip hop, solving Rubik's Cubes and talking about anime and Star Wars, and it's like not a vibe. But through it, I was always myself. Oh man, the feeling I had the first time I saw the Rubik's Cube was like, it's only begun. Because I was like, it took me that long to do it. And I just wasn't satisfied. Then I'm like, okay, cool, what's next? And that's also how I feel about chess. I love chess and I love the Rubik's Cube because you can't beat them. It's like a game you can't beat. That's what's so cool about it. And the only person that you're really essentially playing against is yourself. Yeah, I was like 24 years old and I got a Rubik's Cube and I went on YouTube and I told myself I was not gonna leave the room until I finished it. And I was in the room for 14 hours.
Okay, so we're gonna set up a game for you.
Okay, sure.
Against an unknown opponent.
Okay.
You're gonna be playing a weaker opponent, so I don't think you need to worry too much.
Then the weaker opponent turns out to be Magnus.
Yeah.
Challenge Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it's like special chess.com board. Yeah.
We are integrated into it. I'm curious how you feel about it otherwise.
No, it's very, very smooth. I always like playing on the board.
I think it's especially good whenever you can play against some friend or against an engine even, yeah, like.
So do you think there are some benefits to like playing online games in this way?
Of course, I think playing over the board is always more interesting. You get to feel that you're playing a real game. And you will not mouse slip.
Some people like to play over the board a lot. Could help them probably.
I haven't been able to check if en passant works, but not that many people would report it as a bug.
Favorite part of the holidays? Well, I like the snow, you know. I like the atmosphere.
I think just the family getting together, and I think this is perfect.
The good time to spend with, you know, your loved ones. So that's the best gift.
As chess players, I'm very used to kind of playing chess whenever. So it includes birthdays, holidays of all kinds.
Okay, so do you think you're going to be getting a chess up board for anyone over the holidays?
Could be actually, like I probably can think of a few people who would enjoy that.
Do you think that you're a better player than I am?
Maxime and Magnus are still fighting, but on the other side, we have an early exit from Firouzja, who ended the season on top of the CCT leaderboard. We're back. Let's talk about what just happened one more time there. Jan made it through, huh? David? Tanya?
Jan just so informed today. Firouzja tried, but ultimately just a bit too slow on the clock, not quite able to get that killer instinct going.
I mean, that bracket tells us all, right? 3.5 to half. We haven't seen such a dominating performance by a player in a long time. And it's not against anyone. It's against one of the absolute best, against Alireza. He's been the top performer. He's been at second in the standings of the leaderboard of the Champions Chess Tour this entire season. And what a performance he's had in the finals as well. Again, this was not how I was expecting this match to go. And if I have to point, the one thing that made it all happen, it was Alireza's clock management. We saw it time and time again. He got the positions, he got the chances to strike back, but just not enough time to navigate his way through the labyrinth of complications that Jan put out.
Sometimes I think we forget how strong Nepo actually really is. He made it to the World Championship twice. He won the candidates 2 times in a row, right? So, of course, this is an incredible feat. He's a very fast player, right? I mean, he's just incredible. Also, Firouzja is too as well, but of course, it just depends on how that day can go, or if you can get off to your right footing, get the positions you're looking for. It has to go your way. Jan was locked in. In fact, the last, I don't know how many matches now, he's been locked in. This is a very nice form Jan seems to be in right now.
Yeah, 5 matches in a row. He nearly won a candidates for the 3rd time this year. But yeah, he just feels like a maybe more universal player than Firouzja right now. Firouzja in a few years, of course, is going to be a scary proposition. But yeah, that was his moment. That was his day. 5 matches in a row.
Unbelievable, right? And at the start of the day, I would have put this match at a 50-50. It could have gone either way, but it was a complete Jan Nepomniachtchi show. He just brought in, you know, his boldness, his fearless play, all of that, and also played so well with his time, with the opening, the aggressive approach. Just everything seemed to fall into place for Jan today. Incredible performance.
Incredible performance it is, but we still do have a match going on. Mike Klein caught up with MVL after a draw, finally, between them. They've been swinging back and forth. Let's see what happened with that.
Thanks, guys. We're the Grandmaster Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. We finally saw it. We finally saw a draw, but does it feel a little disappointing not being able to strike back as white?
Yeah, but I didn't really sweat, and I thought I was pressing, and then a couple of inaccuracies, and I was actually on the defensive, and well, I found some trick at the end, but was not enough.
All right, and finally, you've got about a 15-minute break. How much of these breaks are you actually spent looking at chess, and how much are you just spending resting?
It's more like resting, of course. Like most of the prep has been done anyway beforehand.
All right, 2 games left. You're -1. Good luck trying to equal up the match. Back to you guys in the studio.
We have more games to go. Of course, as we see on the screen there, Jan Nepomniachtchi has punched his ticket to the finals, and MVL versus Magnus is still going on, so don't go anywhere. There could potentially be 2 more games here, or Magnus could, and is trying to close it out with the white pieces in this game here to make it 3.5, punch his ticket to the final to face Jan in a mini World Championship match this year.
And we've seen how well White has performed in this matchup so far, right? All the 3 victories that have happened with the white pieces. And guess who's the guy who's playing white in the next game?
Who?
He's sitting in front of us, James.
Oh, him?
Who's that?
Looks familiar.
Magnus Carlsen, it's about his strategy now. Does he play for the win? Does he aim for the immediate knockout to get to that final? How much does he risk? He risked a lot with his last white game. Ultimately was rewarded. If he wants to play it safe, though, he puts himself on the brink of the finals. But we'll give Maxime White in the final game a chance to strike back there.
Yeah, it's how patient is Magnus feeling right now, right? Because it's going to be easier for him to try to shut down play, slowly move towards that 3.5 mark. But then Maxime will come all guns blazing in that final round. Or will Magnus try to maximize his chance with this final white that he's got in this match? This could end in the next game.
Definitely could. I mean, let's see. Hold on, wait. We got this is a nice cam. Wait, what are you about to put on?
Daily Mix, number 6.
Daily Mix, just to put the mix on. Scroll. Let's see what he got. What are you doing, Magnus? Hold on.
L'amour toujours, I bet. Oh, no.
Oh, he's scrolling.
Swept past through that.
He loves that song, though.
Oh, he's going back. It might be that one. You might be right.
Teasing us, Magnus.
This is the hardest part of the hardest part of today is this right here for Magnus. Like not the chess, it's this.
Forget guess the move.
Forget the moves.
Guess the song.
Guess the song, chat.
That's got to be the new feature for the
Look
Champions
at this.
Chess
See how
Tour.
hard this is? He can't make a decision. See how hard this is?
And he's taking all the right decisions on the board. But this one,
Like, you know what?
time pressure, he's
Forget
done with it.
Whatever. I'm done with this. No music.
Hey, game face on now. Serious stuff about to begin. Magnus Carlsen with a win will book his place in the final. He is Mr. Champions Chess Tour at this point. He's won 4 years in a row. Will this be number 5?
And that's a double-edged sword, right? If you go all out, you're also exposing yourself to positions where it might backfire. So the risk versus reward, how is Magnus Carlsen going to measure it? It's 3, 2, 1. And we've got action. First move, what's it going to be? It's the King's Pawn opening. And the Sicilian.
C3 Sicilian for the kill. Let's go, David. We hype over here. We both play this.
Wow, one of my favorite openings from childhood. Magnus, though, he has developed a soft spot for the C3 Sicilian in recent years. He used it actually to totally neutralize Pragnananda in the World Cup final last year in 2023. He often plays this when he's happy with the draw. He wants to push, but he wants to have one hand on the break, just in case.
Yeah, and I think it was Jordan Van Foreest who was in Magnus's team for the World Championship match, who also discussed a lot of the Sicilian Alpin ideas with him. So Magnus employing all of that right now. Now, this is traditional theory here, right? We're in a standard position where black really wants to put pressure on the d4 pawn. I've played against the Alpin, I love how both of you love it from the white side. I really enjoy playing against it because I get the isolated queen spawn. I'm coming for it, and I just feel that black can play for a slight push there.
Ooh, Magnus clearly hasn't studied my games. I'm an advocate of putting the bishop on e3 in that position. Pawn takes c5 actually in the last position as well, if you want to imbalance things, but Magnus plays it very, very safe.
I actually like the bishop e2 move. That's funny. I like bishop e2, bishop e2 castles, bishop e3, knight bd2 setup. That's my favorite. And then rook e1 and knight takes d4. Let's see what he goes for.
I need Maxime to take on d4 and get that IQP. Ooh. And now he needs to decide, does he swipe the queen to the right side of the board, but then you're lining it up against the bishop at some moments. You usually fall back with the queen to a more defensive square.
Yeah, you have a choice here. A few safe squares to retreat to. And Magnus most likely will capture a pawn on c5, and we'll see the queens come off quite early. I think Magnus wants to play this very safe, and I'm not saying that this is totally equal, because white will have a 3 versus 2 majority on the queen side. It's actually maybe a more mobile majority in the near future. But yeah, ultimately, this isn't the most aggressive way to play with white. And it's a clear insight into his strategy, Magnus. He just wants to probe away, say to Maxime, how ambitious are you feeling? Queen's not off yet, but expansion on his mind.
In fact, the best book ever written, it is sometimes you may be able to find a PDF for free online, but there's the Alipin, it's called The Complete C3 Sicilian by Evgeny Sveshnikov, big yellow book, and it was nice, and it actually had everything in it. In fact, and one of the things in there was talking about the endgame chapters, where David pointed out is a 3 versus 2 on the queen side, which, of course, if you study the endgames, you understand and know that the queen side majority is the better majority to have going into an endgame. So when all the pieces trade off, you have 3 versus 2, and you have sort of an advantage, quotation marks, where you can play for something more due to the queen side majority in endgames. So that book actually was so good because it went over the games, but it also showed you what endgames could potentially look like as well.
You guys are very pessimistic about the black pieces against the Alipin. I will tell you one of the plans that Maxime can have here. You know, put that queen on e7, advance that e-pawn 1 step ahead, and activate that bishop. Get the rook on the d file, and you've got your own trumps to speak of. Endgame, you mentioned no endgame for you here.
No endgame, huh, Tanya? Okay.
We will see who is correct. Knight to a4 now kicks away this bishop. I love that book as well, James, by the way. It's so heavy, though.
It's a heavy book, right? It's like 400 pages. I remember starting reading it without a board at some point. I kept reading it over and over. Just try to, you know, obviously work on calculation and seeing visualization, etc.
Ooh, hesitation there.
What happened there?
He pulls back. He put that bishop on a7. To me, that was the natural square to retreat. But something concerns Maxime. He goes with the same decision.
And maybe it was because white can at some point choose to box in that bishop by pushing a pawn to c5, keeping this bishop kind of locked up on the edge of the board. But pushing this pawn forward does give black access to a nice outpost in the center. So you have to give some to take some.
Take.
I just saw that logo behind Magnus's head. It's in my brain now. But yeah, I'm expecting actually Magnus to maybe develop this bishop first of all. Some nice juicy squares in the black camp, and I'm scared of your e5 move, Tanya. I think if black breaks this bishop out, then suddenly things could turn.
Yeah, I don't like that move, bishop to f4, because I really want to put my queen on e7 and it's on the board.
Yeah.
No more queen e7, bishop d6 would be a nice cure.
You heard your plan. Maybe he's not listening to music, he's listening to you, Tanya, guessing the move here. But I'm not sure what black should even play now. He develops his bishop. And yeah, Maxime's been playing Sicilians his whole life, his whole career. Actually, I played a match against him when we were like 9 years old, and 8-game match. He won, of course. 5.5, I think, 2.5. But yeah, there were lots of C3 Sicilians there, and actually he always did pretty well against them, even in the endgames stages. So, okay, bishop to d7.
I'm still finding, I mean, I'm going to say it, black's position's pretty healthy, right? No big weaknesses, no big pawn weaknesses. There are plans to improve your position. You're stopped queen e7, but Maxime can next line up the rook against the e-pawn and start pushing it up the board. With white's knight on a4, you really want to be able to play e5 because there's no knight d5 jump.
Yeah, while a knight is sidelined, often it is actually a good idea to start pushing in the center. So if he can, he will. Vachier-Lagrave.
Did someone say something about an endgame?
There is an idea of like bishop d6. You can try to play active as you can. I remember for me, I love this playing the c3 Sicilian because I can try to play super active. So bishop d6 after rook e8, you can go with b4, believe it or not, which is actually trying to gain space on the queen side, or knight to c5. But I think bishop c8 is a kind of a nifty move that can be played here. But b4, and you see, you're going to have to play accurately here. Of course, it's something that, you know, obviously MVL can do. But it is, for white, is you can start feeling like, okay, I could create something here. Start pushing these pawns, B and C, and then we start figuring out what do we do next. But also we could follow up with maybe, before this, maybe even knight to C5 or knight E5 trying to stop, like push as well. But bishop D6 is a nice...
Great call.
Plays knight C3 though, backs it up. Doesn't like it over there on the...
I thought we saw bishop d6 on the board.
I thought we would as well. The most natural move, right? But I guess he knows this is up his sleeve. He can play it on the next turn if necessary. First, his knight has eyes on, firstly, this black bishop. Bishop pair would be like gold dust in this type of position, such an open center, but like also outpost for the knight, maybe on d6.
Oh, nice move there. I like that. Just neutralizing the dark squared bishop, because like you were pointing out, that knight from c3 can be heading to d6 as well. So bishop b8, getting rid of this will help that cause of e5 at some point.
Ooh, that's a high quality move. Bishop to b8. Not obvious at all, retreating the bishop, locking in your rook, but understanding that the bishop was a target and white's bishop was beautiful.
Maybe bishop g5, just because of that. He plays queen c1, that's nifty. I like the bishop g5 because maybe it annoys you a little bit. It's just an annoying pin. And I'm asking you, are you going to play h6, g5? I mean, he could. He probably would do that. But bishop g5 was quite annoying, but Magnus goes for queen c1, bringing a rook over to the d file.
David, it's so much about the fight for this e5 move, right, which is constantly being stopped. Because now if you play e5, then you go bishop g5 and the knight jumps to d5. So as long as the bishop is alive, it's kind of a tough move to make. Maxime thinking right now, but I've got a question for both of you. If this game ends in a draw, who's going to be happier about the result? Or do you think that just suits both of them?
Well, I think they'll both be happy. We'll be happy, right? We get another game, a must-win situation for one of the players.
Who's playing white?
Who's playing white, exactly. Maxime will need to win that final game if this is a draw. Right now, it's looking very balanced, it's got to be said. He's done everything right, Maxime, to neutralize this opening.
What's going on with Magnus? He's looking everywhere except the board.
He's like, why is it silent? Why is there no music?
He's like smiling too as well, like a little grin there.
Yeah, I think that's a cue for our crowd to cheer the players on a little bit, hype them up.
He was looking at you guys through the mirror there. He sees you.
He's just checking himself out in the mirror. The mirror
Greatness staring back.
Yeah. Staring back at me.
And okay, the queens, will they come off? What was that about an endgame, Tanya?
Ooh, it hasn't happened just yet.
To take, or to not take? That's the question.
That is
queens
the question.
on off.
What move do you think is next, chat? Use take in chat. Come on, you already know. Segue, exclamation point, take in chat. You can guess and get involved.
I don't know. It depends on Magnus's mood. I think taking the queens is totally fine, but it's a very balanced type of endgame, especially with dark squared bishops off. It's unclear how white's going to advance on the queen side.
I like queen h4. Oh, it looks like he adjusted or
Shadubing.
Yeah.
We even heard that, right?
Yeah, we could hear that.
Okay, shake of the head. I think he was like, oh, missed that move. Queen to b8, very clever. Again, such a high quality game here. This looks like classical chess, where you're just kind of applying some pressure, the opponent has all the answers and neutralizes you. But things will speed up soon.
I want to say that this is a different kind of endgame if it happens from the one that you guys were discussing, because that plan of advancing those 3 versus 2 is not so easy. Exactly because of the point you made that the dark square bishops are off the board. So getting that B pawn moving for white will not be the easiest thing to achieve. Meanwhile, for black, you put your rook on b8, you put your rook on d8, the E pawn moves forward, your bishop gets active. I think for Maxime, it will not be too tough to hold that endgame.
Yeah, at least to hold. It's still a 3-result endgame, right?
I think he's moving away. That hand movement, yeah, he comes back.
Okay, ambitious from Magnus. I think match situation, he was tempted to take the queens off, but objectively, it's stronger to keep the queens on. And Maxime totally clamps down on the white queen side now. Very committal move, though. That black A pawn is on a light square. Long term, that's a big target. So actually, endgames now might not be what Maxime wants. He's aiming to totally just lock up the queen side, though, and play on the other side, other flank later, where he has the pawn majority.
But I like this idea, right? Like you said, don't go into an endgame, but there's still a lot of pieces on the board. He's vacated a really nice square for his own bishop to fall on. Bishop c6, put that bishop on the diagonal. That knight from e7 can jump to f5 with a tempo, hitting that queen, dislodging it. And then you can start challenging the rooks on the d line. I also really like Maxime's time management here. He's up on the clock.
Definitely up on the clock here. I like, I'm always biased because, of course, we love C3 Sicilian here. But
Who's we?
Well, me and David. In fact, me and David, not you, Tanya. In fact, never. We weren't talking about you at all, Tanya. But we do like, there's ideas of attacks at any moment. So bishop d3 can happen, which he plays. And then the idea here is obviously taking on f5 in some cases. But you can actually back the bishop up to b1. At some point, even rook lift the rook to d4 and over to h4. I've done this many times. It's how I know. Like, I just like, oh, out of nowhere, the C3 Sicilian becomes a very aggressive opening. But bishop b1, knight e5, rook d4 over to the king side, and you're mating. I mean, the queen's on b8. But it's just big possibilities that you give yourself by actually rook lifting. If you even rook lift, do you even rook lift? But the bishop is ideally placed now. You back it up to b1 so you can rook lift and bring it over to the king side.
Wow, fortune teller here. If that happens, James, we're going to, I don't know how we're going to celebrate, but that would be an automatic win of Guess the Move.
Here it is, 95. There's also an f4 now possibility.
There is a rook lift by Maxime, though.
Play f4 here. Maybe knight g6, I guess is what he wants. But f4 is possibility. Yeah, this could get spicy in a few moves. MVL is obviously an attacker. He can obviously defend this type of stuff, but you can just smell the attack in like a few moves here. You're like putting the spices together. You're like cooking. You're mixing in the bowl right now, and then you put it in the oven.
This is making me hungry.
Okay, rook comes to e1. Does he have the right ingredients for an attack? Or can black fend things off now? And, okay, Maxime, look at this hand gesture. It looks like he's counting with his left hand there. He was like, one,
Takes
two pieces.
No, three. Okay, no. Carry to one.
He's a maestro. He's just orchestrating.
Conducting his pieces to good squares. I don't like the black rook that's actually just rook lifted because it's really clumsy, and we've seen so many times in the match so far today. Loose pieces do drop off. The black rook on the edge of the board is undefended. He plays pawn to h6.
Bishop b1. I'm telling you. Listen. Oh, same idea. Bishop c2 hits the pawn. That's even clever. More clever. Hits the a4 pawn. Rook d4 for the score.
This is getting a bit scary for black.
Now it's scary, Tanya. I need my money right now, Tanya.
I need Maxime to show the right defense here. At some point, I'm expecting him to neutralize that light squared bishop with a move like knight f5. But that does come at a price, right? A bad pawn formation and some weaknesses to deal with. But how long can you allow this light squared bishop to be alive? It does it instantly.
Yeah, I understand that. I would probably do that too. It's getting annoying. You got to get rid of this, but I don't want to. So maybe I go queen f4 with the idea of g4, Tanya.
Yeah, and again, if Magnus converts this attack, this is match over.
Yeah.
Magnus is through to the finals.
Yeah, I was going to say it's scary for black's position. He's about to drop his queen back, it looks like. It's also scary how spot on you were, James, with the attacking ideas for white, but this is designed to just try and get pieces off the board. Even if white just takes that knight, he doesn't. He drops his queen back. I was going to say you can take the knight, you can take the bishop, have a slightly better pawn structure for the endgame, no risk. But the knight's not running away, so very interesting, ambitious decision by Magnus Carlsen right there. Purely because black struggles for moves. I don't think you really want to challenge the d-file right now. Because actually, after there is a threat, knight takes bishop, followed by this pawn dropping on a4. So you might have to defend against that.
And rook d8 is rook takes, and knight f7.
Knight f7.
Oh, you saw that, Tanya? Oh, yeah, Tanya's swinging out here. Tanya, you an Alipin player now, Tanya? Is that, is that
I know the dangers that exist.
Oh, you know the danger. Oh, okay.
But I like this, queen to a7. And you know what that does? It stops that f7 trick in many positions. If you do take on c6, then it keeps the 7th rank defended, no rook entry. So f5 captured right now, and that queen on a7 doing a great job, eyeing f2, as well as keeping the 7th rank guarded.
Okay. Magnus just creates some lift, some air for the white king. So no back rank checkmates now, also stopping any knight g4 shenanigans. The black queen's really well placed, I've got to say. But if the queens come off, I do fear for Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, just because of these two huge weaknesses on the queen side. Isolated pawns, he keeps his queen active. This is still anyone's game. This could turn in either direction. Ooh, he's trying to force the queens off.
And you have to take it, because queen takes pawn, there's a checkmate on the board.
Show that.
Oh my gosh.
Show the chat that.
Let's show it. Queen takes pawn would be a huge blunder right now, because queen sacrifice, spotted by Tanya there. Queen takes f8. forcing the black king out and into a square. It can get checked. You can drop the knight in the way, but nope. That is a double rook checkmate. And wow, huge moment, huge trap in the air. That means queens have to come off. I think he should just eliminate it.
Yeah, he can't blunder this one because queen takes rook is a threat. You can't move the queen to, well, to anywhere.
Yeah.
Try rook e8, I guess.
Same tactic if you run away.
And just try to trade on his own terms with rook e8. Yeah. Possible, but...
Queen b6 would keep the queens on the board because
okay.
you got the d8 square.
Right.
But I agree with you, David. Get rid of that queen on e7. It's just too dangerous.
It's so scary. And at least this will give black the time to come with his own rook and attack white's only weak spot. The only soft spot is this backward b pawn. But first you need to get rid of the queens. Unless you're willing to just risk all these tricks, all these tactics coming. If your queen moves away, there are also ideas of rook to d8. Not quite yet, but white has so many tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, and Maxime also has the chance to get active if he instantly trades on e7 and puts that rook on the b file, right? You can start taking advantage of that move a4, which clamped down on the b2 pawn.
Yeah, and I think the reason you don't necessarily want to play rook to b8 immediately is, firstly, white can actually trade queens, maybe go pawn hunting, grab on a4, but also there will be rook to d8 check ideas, keeping the queens on and going for the black king. Okay, Maxime's down to 2 minutes, though.
Needs to make a decision.
It's getting scary for black.
Oh my gosh!
He blundered me.
Oh my goodness.
Look at Magnus.
Oh my.
This is how the semifinals is about to end.
He blundered me.
Magnus has seen this.
He didn't see
it. Oh my. What?
I'm done. I'm out. All right, y'all have a good one. All right, y'all. All right, chat. Hey, peace. I'm gone. All right, I'm out. I'm out.
I can't believe this.
Mutual blindness. It happens sometimes. You trust the opponent.
But did he spot it? Do you think he spotted it now?
Magnus
that was
reacted
a
slightly.
checkmate in 2.
It would have been over. Magnus would have been in the finals. Now it's still anyone's game. Magnus has a small advantage, but he is a pawn down.
That's crazy.
What just happened?
They half a human, of course. Remember that, right? Half a human. And you know what? It would just happen in we have some cuts and some edits here. Shout out to the editing team. But with the Hikaru mate, I'm sure you guys saw that chat with the Hikaru mate thing where Hikaru blunders mate and Magnus doesn't see it, and Hikaru starts laughing. He's like, mate in one, right? It happens because these guys are again half a human. It happens.
We could hear the crowd, by the way.
Yeah.
We could hear the crowd reacting to that missed opportunity, the moment of mutual blindness, madness, whatever you call it.
Crazy, bro.
And I think he still doesn't know, which is probably the best for a player. You know, if you haven't spotted it, it's best not to spot it until the game is over because it keeps playing on your mind otherwise.
That's why, for everyone at home, calculation over everything. Look at checks, captures, and threats first. If a check works, it can be so powerful, but...
Cannot believe it. That Magnus missed queen takes rook and rook d8 checkmate.
Correct. Which lets you know, guys, it happens to the best in the world. It is possible. And, they miss some things, right? This is a very small percentage of things that they miss here.
But you know what's on the line here? It's the spot to the finals, right?
Yeah. He respected his opponent, which, of course, they always do. They have so much respect for each other.
That move was worth $50,000.
A lot of cash. Minimum.
Minimum $50,000.
Look at the bottom of our screens there. The eval has been roughly level the whole game, but that was that one spike. Magnus had a winning move. Now we're in the endgame, and currently Magnus is actually a pawn down, but he's going to regain the material on the next turn, and...
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it's anyone's game still. Anything could still happen, but Maxime, if he realizes, this feels like a second life.
Yeah. It feels like Kaisa, the goddess of chess is on your side. If you survive that, it feels like the stars are aligning and you might have a shot to fight for this right now. He's up a pawn, but 2 pawns attacked by that Magnus, the last move that Magnus played, bringing the rook. And look at this. Maxime goes onto the offense. He's targeting the b2 pawn.
Yeah. For now, the black knight a bit misplaced. The black rook on a5 slightly passive. So Magnus does take a timeout to just defend his only weakness. He's going to regain the pawn. Next move, retain the advantage. But Maxime improving his knight.
Yeah. And how much is the advantage here, right? That 1 versus 2, as long as the a4 pawn is alive, you've got that clamp down on the queen side. Meanwhile, there's flexibility for Maxime on the right side of the board. Someone said something about the Alipin? Endgames? Endgames?
This should have been over already, okay? But to be fair here, Alipin dub, 1-0. But Yeah, that was crazy. I'm still like rattled from that. That's
Unbelievable.
insane. Because we saw, oh yeah, it's made, it's easier said than done, obviously, but man, the nerves are extremely high, especially for Magnus Carlsen. You can just see the nerves from both of them. He blundered the mate, and then the mate was missed.
What are the chances that he realizes it? What do you think?
Probably after the game, and of course when you see when someone tells him, you missed mate, you're like, oh, and then they're like, oh, and then all these like light bulbs and like.
But does he know it now? Does he know it now what he missed?
No.
No, he doesn't.
I think Magnus, he's so honest, he's so expressive. We would know if he had realized that he had a winning move. But ultimately, he's focused on this moment. I don't know who's going to tell him, who's going to reveal. I don't want to be the one. But in the meantime, Maxime's just given up a pawn. And he's just missed this move, a block. And this is a tempo-gaining block. Why did Maxime give up that pawn? It's so strange.
Yeah, because you trade on b4, white's pawn recaptures, and the rook on the side of the board is hit. And you don't have time to repick that pawn, the central e4 pawn. And that's it. He's up a pawn.
What's that about endgames? Now 2 pawns up for grabs. It's 2
So glad I'm not on the screen right now. And yeah, a4 pawn falls as well. But Maxime, is he trying to create some tricks with that e-pawn? That knight needs to get to g3. Knight h5 ideas.
He's also going to slide his rook. I'm not sure where, but he's going to slide his rook on the next go. Finally justifying why that rook has been standing on an awkward square for so long. And, oh, he just defends his pawn. So he is very much banking on his knight coming in. Magnus tries to shut the door on that knight. Oh, still hanging in the balance. If Magnus takes his eye off the ball, this could turn. But for now, 2 pawns versus 0 on the queen side. If they start running, he's a favorite. He should still win this game.
Yeah, and that mate miss will not matter if Magnus gets the point, right? But if something goes wrong, that's going to haunt him for the next round for sure. Yeah. And the king comes into play. Maxime, he's trying to get all his pieces active. It's a race now. How does he improve this position? How does he give a check to that white king?
He's going to try and come in with his own king. Magnus doesn't see any threats, pushes pawns. Maxime's under 10 seconds on the clock.
Oof.
This is dangerous for him. The black king coming in, though.
You have to take that pawn back. The king moves back. And the knight, it just doesn't have a good jumping square towards the white king. That is the problem. Rook f2, stopped.
Ooh, the knight trade about to happen. Rook endgames are going to win for white.
3 seconds.
Oh, he's going to move. Just about made it there, Maxime. His pawn drops, though.
Oh, that's bad news. Yes, because that was the soul of black's position, right?
Correct.
Now the white king gets out of the pin.
Easy pass pawns here.
White has 2 potential future queens on the queen side. The A and B pawns. Knight's gone now. All about the rooks.
2 extra pawns here on that left side of the board. Magnus, up on the clock, has got those extra seconds to navigate this.
He knows how close he is. He's getting a bit nervous, Magnus, because it's still not job over yet. He knows it's inside that finishing line. He's moving his king on over, but be careful not to get checkmated, that white king. The white king will hide in front of its pawns, given the opportunity.
For Maxime, it essentially keeps the 2 rooks alive for counterplay. 1 rook traded off, and the pawns will start pushing up the board.
It's a check. The king will start dancing, start running forward now.
Yeah. Just do a zigzag onto that b5 square if the checks follow. Attacks the rook, attacks the f6 pawn in return.
Resignation. Whoa!
Magnus Carlsen takes the win. He books his place in the final of the Champions Chess Tour here. Wow, what a game. Maxime, we have to commend him on a great fight. He looks disheartened, but ultimately, he entertained us so much this whole week.
Yeah. Wow, and the crowd goes absolutely nuts seeing Magnus take that win, 3.5 to 1.5. He set himself up for a final against the 2021 World Championship challenger. It's Magnus Carlsen versus Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Well, it looks like we have ourselves a small World Championship match, a rematch there is with Magnus Carlsen versus Jan Nepomniachtchi going to the championship, the final. Wow, MVL and Alireza are going home, but of course they played excellent chess up until this point here. Magnus was able to win, Jan going to the final as well. David and Tanya, what do you think?
Well, it's heartbreak for French fans. The 2 French players eliminated, but they put up such a strong fight, such a great showing this whole week. And yeah, I think it's the 2 most deserving players who make it there ultimately.
Incredible, right? Because Magnus Carlsen, he was dominating in the round robin, in the all-play-all, and then advancing to the semifinals, and just his display today. he had that small moment of missing that checkmate into, but apart from that, pretty flawless, getting the lead. Maxime bounces back, he did put up a fight, but in the end, it was a Magnus Carlsen show. It's hard to stop the guy, and if anyone can do it, it's Jan Nepomniachtchi, because look at the form Jan's coming in with.
Yeah, Jan has won almost every match. Of course, he lost to Magnus and Alireza, and then he just went crazy after that. But wow, I mean, it's incredible to see the feat in the games here and all the ups and downs from it. And of course, David has something for us. We know exactly what you have for us, David. Can we see that in replay action right now?
Let's do it. It was the biggest up and down, the biggest shock maybe of the whole Champions Chess Tour finals so far, as we saw a missed opportunity from Magnus Carlsen, and it was here that the big blunder happened. A case of mutual blindness, both players missing the same tactic. White's queen has just landed on e7, offering a trade of queens, and objectively, Maxime should have said yes, should have taken the queens off the board, avoided any danger. However, he played queen takes pawn, missing the key point behind White's last move. But Magnus here jumped in with his rook. Instead, queen takes rook would have won the game on the spot, would have banked his ticket to the final, because capturing the queen would have walked into the mating net. The two white rooks now catching the black king out in the open. The white rook on the e-file cuts it off, and this would have simply been game over. Instead, Magnus played a very tempting move, rook to d8, perhaps missing that taking was not obligatory here. This is Magnus's idea. The white queen would have now captured a rook on a5. Instead, though, knight to h7 was possible. Maxime fought on valiantly, but ultimately was ground down in a long endgame. Maxime missing this, but entertaining us all.
Of course, he maybe wanted to delay it. He was like, okay, yeah, I'm just winning the end game. I see it, but, for the fans out there, for the content, for the memes, right? Of course, Magnus makes it to the final against Jan Nepomniachtchi, which is happening tomorrow there. As you see the scores, Magnus wins 3.5 to 1.5 versus MVL, and Jan and Nepomniachtchi winning against Alireza there. So what do you think? Tanya and David, how did you feel about the entire matches here today?
Yeah, just incredible stuff. I think for Jan, it was clear that he dominated his match against Alireza. But Maxime matchup, I don't think the scoreline tells the full story. There were a lot of ups and downs. There were punches traded, incredible fight. And now we get this clash of the titans. Two giant, one title to fight for.
Yeah, such small margins. Firouzja as well, who was eliminated, had 2 winning positions from his 4 games. Ultimately, the clock deciding a lot of that battle. And yeah, we've just been really entertained. So much decisive chess, so many twists and turns. We couldn't have hoped for more, and big match ahead tomorrow.
Big match ahead tomorrow. Absolutely, guys. Our final is set for tomorrow, but we still have some stuff to get out of the way. So today, first up, Chess.com is thrilled to support fellow game changer ChessUp, the record-breaking company taking the game world by storm with their brand new ChessUp 2. This physical electronic board syncs to your Chess.com rated games, which you can then save and analyze on Chess.com. With built-in Wi-Fi, a touchscreen, and TouchSense pieces, ChessUp 2 supports beginning players, players in training, and casual games between friends and family. For a limited time, save 10% on your ChessUp 2 with code CCT10 at the checkout. Head over to go.chess.com/chessup or use !ChessUp in chat to unlock this offer and take your game to the next level. Coming up, we're going to have Magnus Carlsen in the studio with us. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Has this ever happened to you?
Oh, shoot. Another mouse slip.
What about this?
Oh, well, holy bishops en passant. I think I'm getting carpal tunnel. If only there was a way to play online chess with a real-life board.
What if I told you you can with ChessUp 2? That's right. With ChessUp 2, you can now play over the board online.
Wow.
Simply connect your chess.com account to our state-of-the-art ChessUp 2 and get a game started. Every time you move, our revolutionary board will transmit the data online directly to your opponent. And as soon as they move, squares will light up, signifying which piece is going where.
Well, shucks. This Hikaru guy seems pretty good.
With ChessUp 2, mouse slips and sore wrists are a thing of the past.
My carpal tunnel is gone. Well, this sure is fun. I'm playing online against my new friend Hikaru. Who needs a family? But I sure do miss clicking on a piece and seeing all of my available moves, like they have on chess.com.
Well, Danny, you're in luck. This feature is totally available on the ChessUp 2 as well.
Wow. Well, I'm convinced. But hey, what if I don't just want to play an opponent online? What if I want to use one of chess.com's other great tools?
I thought you'd never ask. With ChessUp 2, you can fully take advantage of the chess.com integration by playing bots, analyzing your offline games, and even using our optional AI assistants to visualize the quality of moves with color-coded hints.
Well, holy ChessUp, you did it. You made IRL chess cool again.
You got it, Danny.
And how do you know my name?
Play chess today on the board of tomorrow.
I'm gonna go for the third move. Oh, that was not on the radar. Now I'm gonna go for this move. I feel confident. Yes!
Welcome back to the CCT. The finals are set. Magnus Carlsen against Nepomniachtchi. In fact, we have a guest in the studio. Guys, are you ready? None other than Magnus Carlsen. Magnus, hey, tell us about that match.
Yeah, it was. I thought the first game was quite good. I think we're both playing relatively decently. He was maybe like a touch better even, but it was kind of tense. We're down on time, and then I found this really nice trick. Was honestly, it's like more typical of him. And then the opening of the second game was really good. Like I just had a better position very early on, which I then you know, contrived to lose in a matter of about 5 moves. Honestly, like after that, I was just like a little bit out of my mind. There were rest of the match, and then you know could have gone either way really.
Yeah. And Magnus, mid-match, you told my client that you felt tilted, and like you're saying, that match could have gone either way. In moments like that, when you're perhaps not feeling your best, how do you still manage to bring out your best and have this kind of a performance?
Well, it wasn't my best. I don't think this was anything close to my best. It's just that, you know, I end up just like playing on adrenaline, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, the quality of my play today wasn't very good. But at least I was putting some pressure on him and not making it too easy.
And Magnus, over the last few days, you've been quite critical about your own play, saying you're not at your best. Do you feel that you're building up, saving it for tomorrow, or how are you going to make sure that you peak at the right time?
Well, I hope so. But I feel like I go into most days, like except for the first day when I felt that I was really tired. I feel like I go into most days feeling all right today. This should be a good day, and then I just end up, you know. It just ends up being a wild ride. So, you know, maybe it's the format, something about it, but it just never feels comfortable. So, you know, yeah, hopefully I can bring my best tomorrow, and then if I do, then it will be tough for him, I think.
And before we go on to tomorrow, I want to rewind a little bit about your choice of picking Maxim for the semi-finals. What was the thought process in selecting Maxim? And did the fact that Firouzja will play Nepo, did that have anything to do with your pick?
No, I just thought that Maxim and Jan are both very good players, and also players whom I've lost to multiple times in the Champions Chess Tour. Like, I've beaten them as well, but they're both difficult opponents, so in the end, the choice was random. I just thought if I cannot make a decision, then I should just randomize it. I did, and that also makes it easy to live with the decision. So, I mean, it didn't have anything to do with whom I thought would have the best chance against Alireza and so on.
And how much of the other match were you following?
I was watching it quite a bit. You know, it was a bit of a surprise for me that it was ended up being so one-sided, but I think in these matches, you know, when the first game goes a certain way, like if you lose with white like Alireza did, and sometimes hard to regain your composure.
Magnus, how do you feel about the 6-game format? Do you think that it favors you?
Yeah, more games favors me.
Definitely.
Yeah, and looking forward to tomorrow. You said it will be hard for him if you're at your best. How are you going to prepare for that now? What are you expecting from that?
I don't know, David. I feel like I just get her in good shape every day. I don't know. I always, you know, for every match, I have some new ideas, like what I want to do in the opening and so on. But apart from that, I don't know.
And style-wise, I mean, you've played Jan so many times before. Is there any kind of specific tweaks you're going to make, or?
It's very hard, really. What you know playing Jan is that you'll probably get into time trouble, so try and deal with that mentally, I guess.
And Magnus, how's it been playing in front of your home crowd, live fans here? They cheer so loudly every time you walk in. How's that been for you?
No, that part has been great, so hope to give them something to cheer for tomorrow.
Magnus, thank you very much. Is there any final thoughts on everything? Final tomorrow? Something like that?
No, I'm just looking forward to tomorrow.
Nice. Thank you, Magnus. Thanks you, and then good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, we have more interviews coming up, but first, we got to talk about AnyChess. Ready to push your chess limits? AnyChess is modernizing chess by infusing the timeless game with an innovative spell mechanic. Players can compete against each other, participate in tournaments, and experiment with 9 different spells that will transform the way you see the 64 squares, whether you're a novice or a grandmaster. And now, AnyChess is open to everyone. Always free to play, easy to join. Head to go.chess.com/AnyChess or use !AnyChess in chat. Coming up after break, the Rubik's Move of the Day, Mike Klein's interview with the finalist, Jan Nepomniachtchi, as well as his exit interview with MVL. Stay tuned.
1 in 7 people in the world have played with a Rubik's Cube. Are you one of them? Stay tuned. The Rubik's Make Your Move of the Day is coming up after this break.
Starting battle.
Welcome back to AniChess. AniChess is modernizing chess by infusing the timeless game with an innovative spell mechanic. Players can compete against each other, participate in tournaments, and craft their own spells to battle and climb the ranks. All classical chess rules apply, but can be overridden by spell mechanics.
Invisible March. A strategic
The knight on
arch.
h6 used Shot in the Dark, moving it invisibly for 1 turn. And meanwhile, White used House Recruit to spawn a
Clear
pawn.
the ground with a single bound.
White uses Bishop 2.0, launching the bishop over a pawn to capture.
Invisible March. A strategic arch.
Shot in the Dark allows Black to win by Kingsley. Push your chess limits. Try spell chess in the AniChess Open Alpha.
It is very important for me to be comfortable. I am a bit of a sloucher, but I'm also kind of restless in the chair, so I'll change position like a lot. I'll do a few different poses during the game, like I'll lean forward, I'll lean back, like on the side, but yeah, I don't know, it just feels good.
What's the most interesting place you've played from in your secret lab chair?
I've played a lot of weird places, mostly hotel rooms, some resorts, but I do remember one particular match against Nakamura when I'd hurt my back a bit, so I was standing over the chair.
Why did you choose the secret lab Titan Evo?
I do like these chairs a lot. I feel like it affords both comfort and flexibility.
Okay, so we're gonna set the board up. We've got a few fun puzzles for you.
Wow, even to win, amazing.
Okay, okay. I'm looking for some secret here.
Well, I mean, let's say if I double it right now, like if we play, let's say, rook h1, and I guess black simply takes on f6, and that's not much could be done.
Oh yeah, I think you guys got me with this one. I mean, it's not that easy as I thought it would be.
The position is correct, yeah?
What happens? So rook g6, f takes g, f7 shouldn't be the solution, I feel.
So if we start with some checks like knight h6, king f8, it makes like 0 sense. King f8, queen d6, knight h7, queen h7, king h7, checking.
Oh, sorry. Rook takes one. Nice. The right one.
Actually, knight d4, queen d7, rook h1, knight f6 here.
Check. This one is here.
Very nice. Wow.
I can get the next 4.
Good stuff.
Oh, I see. Rook g6, then knight g5, and knight h6. Yeah. Rook g6, fg, queen h7, or hg, queen h7. Yeah. Takes, f takes g, or h takes g. Doesn't really matter. Then queen takes, king takes, and then black gets mated. Yeah.
Beautiful. Good
There
job.
you go. We got it. Well done.
Nice. Well, so I have to remove my rook from g5. So that's how I play rook g6 probably, yeah, because otherwise king goes. Okay, then rook g6 and then, okay, like in the draws, yeah, like check, and mate. Okay, so rook g6 and then a bunch of checks.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a day of chess it has been here at the Champions Chess Tour Finals. Magnus Carlsen booking his spot in the finals. Jan Nepomniachtchi doing the same after defeating Alireza Firouzja. But for our next treat, it is the Rubik's Make Your Move of the day, and it is a moment from Magnus Carlsen's win against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. It was actually the first game of the day that Magnus won, set the tone with the white pieces, and it was here, after black has just planted a knight in the center, that Magnus struck. He played the make your move of the day, rook takes c5. Double exclamation point appears there because it is a sacrifice. It was missed by Maxime, who actually naively captured this rook. Maybe it was better to avoid that, just accept being a pawn down, because suddenly, after another capture, a check, black was caught in two minds. If you take this rook with your knight, you walk into a nasty fork. The white queen now, with a pin along the e-file, makes sure that the knight is untouchable. Next move, you win the black queen, and instead, Maxime decided after a capture to take with the king, walking into a different type of fork, a double attack here. King and rook attacked, the black king moved, the white queen took a rook, and just 2 moves later, Magnus won a second pawn, went on to win the game. Very impressive geometry there, very impressive tactics, and if you at home are wondering what your next move of the day is, then visit go.chess.com/Rubik's50 or use exclamation point Rubik's in chat to explore more.
Thank you, David. Our final is set as we see Magnus Carlsen versus Jan Nepomniachtchi. Both matches today delivered. Were we expecting such swingy games today, David and Tanya?
Yes and no, I'm going to say. I think we expected some kind of drama, but to see such a one-sided match in Nepomniachtchi against Firouzja, I mean, that felt like a 50-50 on paper. That was a bit of a shock. And the way that the Magnus against Vachier-Lagrave match happened with so many decisive games, only one draw there. Tanya, I don't know about you, but I was impressed and entertained.
Yeah, it was amazing, but the answer to your question would be no, especially what happened, I think, against Jan versus Alireza. Such a one-sided match. Jan just dominated that entire show, you know, wrapping up the match in 4. Impressive stuff. I think Alireza just never found his rhythm today. The positions where he got his chances, he didn't have enough time on the clock to actually convert those. So everything went against him, and Jan with a power pack performance, just making it through to the finals. And then Magnus, that was pure entertainment, you know, punches being traded, and that final game, a mate in 2 missed by Magnus, big shots that could have gone either way. But then again, you know, when he was here for the interview, James, even when he's not at his best, he's able to wrap it up against all these strong players and sort of cruise through to the finals, and that's always so impressive to watch.
That's correct. It's not about how you do it. It's about how you get it done, or if you get it done, of course. And they both got it done. Magnus and Jan today. What was the most exciting match for you today? What was your favorite match?
Oof. I'm going to say Magnus against Maxime, just because the quality of chess was so high, and also some really unusual tactics. But then again, I mean, at this point, it's just, today we were treated to 4 of the best players in the world, just showing off their speed, showing off their creativity, and I just can't wait for tomorrow. I don't know what to predict, actually. Nepomniachtchi's form, really, I mean, that's going to set the cat amongst the pigeons. I don't think it's going to be one-way traffic. Magnus has his work cut out for sure.
Yeah, I really hope it isn't. I mean, if Jan continues the form that he's been on, the hot streak that he's been on, bringing in this power play, you know, keeping control on the clock, playing these kind of positions, I think we're in for a massive fight. I mean, Magnus, any day of the week, of the year, is a favorite on paper, but Jan has been so incredible in the tournament so far. And you're talking about the highlight of the day, you know, you had that Rubik's make your move. The position you had looked like a Rubik's Cube there with the tactic of the rook moving forward. Just incredible scenes.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. We have the final tomorrow, but of course, we still have a little bit more for you guys. Mike Klein caught up with Jan Nepomniachtchi after his win. Let's see what they said.
Thanks, guys. We're here with the man of the hour, Grandmaster Jan Nepomniachtchi, the first man to clinch his spot in the finals. I want to ask you about this moment in Game 4. You had things in control, and then you allowed a little bit of counterplay. What were your thoughts when he played H3 and your king side started to crumble?
Well, I mean, like, I think the first moment was when he played bishop f1 instead of bishop d3, just pretty much pure careless move, like bishop d3, I think. White is nearly winning. It should be, because, okay, I have an extra pawn, like better pieces, and his only hope is queen on d2, which is like can't do too much alone by itself. And then, like, I gave him a full tempo in a very unbalanced position, and this, of course, like, this could cost me the game, yeah. And that's really the problem. Okay, I foresaw the move, but I somehow, like, forgot that he can start with queen d2 instead of ag, because I only calculated ag, king g2, queen d2 check. And then I'd say, like, any move is good enough, like, to at least, like, rook f2, queen takes d3, knight takes e6, and so on. But then he started to queen d2. I understood that, okay, I'm suddenly in a big trouble. So my first intention was not to lose immediately. I think somehow exchanging queens was very smart of him, probably would be winning. But he also was in time trouble, and overall, I paid some price of making some low quality moves for pushing his time, a little bit. So.
Let me ask you about the time trouble. It seemed like he was in massive time trouble the entire day. Yeah. Was it part of your strategy to put him in that situation?
Well, I think he normally is in time trouble. Maybe just against me, but I think he likes to think, and he normally, when it comes to some forcing lines, he's quite good in time trouble as well. But then the position is, let's say, more abstract. He has a choice. Everyone would experience some difficulties, yes. So also, I would say that probably most of his, at least in the first 2 games, time trouble was connected also with some poor position already. Let's say it was not that obvious what to do for him, and yeah, of course it helped me a lot. Yeah, so pushing on the clock and on the board at least.
When Magnus chose MVL yesterday, what were your thoughts on that decision?
Well, it was not me choosing. Yeah. So, well. I think last time we had a match with Magnus, it was pretty much unbalanced. Yeah, 4 draws, and he won in Armageddon. It was in September. Yeah, but I had a full day on some other tournament back then, so
it could be seen as a compliment that he didn't choose you.
Well, I think I just did slightly better in the in the group. So Maxim, I think he scored 3 wins in group. Yeah, in the round robin, I scored 5, and okay, I lost my matches to Magnus and Firouzja, but those matches were not I would say at least we're not one-sided, yes. So yeah, let's see who qualifies, Magnus or MVL, yeah.
And finally, you played the minimum number of games today, 4 games. Any advantage at all to saving the hour or hour and a half of energy?
As I said yesterday, I'm always up for some rest.
More rest for Jan Nepomniachtchi. We will see him on Saturday. Back to you guys in the studio.
That was nice, of course. It's always good to hear, especially if you can follow the moves with Jan. He realized queen d2, and then he was like, oh, I'm in trouble. But okay, I was able to, figure it out from there. And obviously he said Alireza got in some time trouble there, which is very important to understand. He plays fast. Alireza got in time trouble, and he crumbled there, and Jan was able to finish there. There was also a good comment about the MVL thing, about him and picking MVL, he picked me, or MVL, I did a little bit better type thing. It's nice.
Yeah, he seemed in good spirits, Jan Nepomniachtchi, and he was so quick, he was so deadly today. Magnus did mention when he was in the studio with us that he's going to be in time trouble, Magnus. Jan is so quick.
Right.
So it's just about how both players handle that. The nerves, the stakes, and the clock, how they combine.
Yeah, the clock is the 17th piece in this format. And I thought that interview with Jan was fantastic, right? Because he also gave such insights into handling a player like Alireza, where he spoke about understanding his style, that when you give him direct lines, even with a little time, Alireza is just incredibly strong, but make it more abstract, and then that's when it becomes tricky, and that just worked to perfection for Jan Nepomniachtchi, who ended up becoming the first finalist, and now he gets his rematch, and this is going to be one for the ages, playing against Magnus. These two have a storied history between each other. They've known each other's style. David, how do you approach an opponent that you know so well?
Actually, that's my pet peeve. The one thing I struggle is when you face someone so much, especially if you're friends. I think these two get on very well. They used to work together. It's hard to kind of have that hunger still to want to beat them as if it were the first time. I think ultimately you just have to put that history to one side. You just have to focus on the moment. For Jan, for example, forget the 2021 World Championship. That's long gone. That's ancient history now. And just remember that he's here for a reason. And whoever starts strongest, I think the openings are going to have a huge amount to say.
And James, I think apart from that match, this is perhaps going to be the longest match that they'll play against each other, a best of 6.
It's going to be fun, actually, to watch. I'm excited to watch it. We all are. It's a final tomorrow. And, of course, we got to leave you guys with something else, right? We do have Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, even though he's out at third. Mike Klein caught up with him after his loss for an exit interview. Let's take a listen.
Thanks, guys. We're here with Grandmaster Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. You kept it really close against Magnus, but what was the ultimate difference in this match today?
In general, Magnus played really well, and it's hard to beat him when he's close to his best. At least that's what he felt like. Although there were some mishaps from him, but in general, for 10+2 games, this was pretty impressive. In the last game, I was trying to get something going, keep it sharp, keep it complicated, but in the end, at some point, I went too far, and Magnus punished me duly.
It actually looked like you were going to be the beneficiary of a rare Magnus misstep. After queen takes c4, he missed queen takes f8. I suppose you did too.
Oh yeah.
So, I don't know, it would have been really interesting if you could have capitalized on that misstep, but this is the first you're hearing about this, I suppose.
No. I mean, it felt wrong, this queen takes c4, but somehow, yeah. I was so focused on rook g8, and I guess Magnus was too, and we just completely missed it, and it's not even difficult.
I mean, losses never feel good, but does it make you feel a little bit better knowing that, you know?
This I don't really care about.
Okay. What will you do for the rest of your time in Oslo here?
Yeah, I mean, there's just one day. I mean, I'll get some rest for sure, but I'll try to get out a bit of the hotel, maybe look at the center.
And when will your fans see you next?
Very soon. I mean, like, I guess almost everyone was playing here will be in New York, so like...
Vincent will not, but you're right, I think most will.
Yeah, maybe Denis, I'm not sure if he has visa, but other than that, yeah. I expect everyone to be there for the World Championship.
Okay, well, you got some good training here in Oslo for New York. Good luck to you there, and I'll see you there myself, I think. Back to you guys in the studio.
It's crazy how when you're focused on something so much, the laser focus, you miss, you know, the blind side. And it was a blind spot from both of them, as MVL pointed out.
Yeah, tunnel vision in chess, right? And the move, the kind of continuation that happened in the game, it was very complicated, so we can understand why the players were so focused. But that was an interesting oversight from both. Ultimately, Maxime seemed in good spirits, seems clearly in good form from this tournament, so best of luck to him at the World Rapid and Blitz Championships.
What do you believe, Tanya? How'd you feel about that interview?
Yeah, it was really great to hear. I think Maxime put up a massive fight today. You know, you lose the first game, you bounce back in the second game. He got his chances, he created them. So a lot of good takeaways. He had a great run as well, making it into the survival stage. And then, you know, on his one life, taking down the two big youngsters, qualifying for the semifinals. I think it's been a fantastic event for him. It's always tough when you play against Magnus, but I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I think it's high stakes, high drama. It's the fight for $200,000. You know, it's the champion of the Champions Chess Tour that gets decided, and it's between Magnus Carlsen or Nepomniachtchi. What a final we've set ourselves up for.
You got a final. Place your bets, Chad, of course, because it's going down tomorrow. Today was absolutely amazing, even though we ended early. Tomorrow is the 2021 World Chess Championship run back. Will the four-time CCT champ take it again? I mean, we're on the call tomorrow. We're going to be here, and hopefully we get to see you again tomorrow as well. The final is tomorrow. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow.
It's going to be good. It's going to be lit. We've got four fantastic players with us, and I can't wait for the chess to begin. I think for Maxime, this might be a bit of a surprise, but also a relief that Magnus isn't going directly for his throat.
Is his energy going to be a factor today?
He's in decent shape, though. He's probably spent a bit of double attack, as you mentioned, hitting the queen, hitting.
You know, it's important when you reach a time control like this, or actually closer to under a minute. Yeah, you got.
If he finds it.
I think he has. That's the second move. And that's it. It was checkmate on the next move. Magnus Carlsen finishes the job in style.
That's the block now. Check.
He's calculated his way through. Look at the speed, and he does it.
Woo, Jan! First game is knight takes instead, so maybe there won't be any g4, but there is some very fun lines here for white.
Quickly placed now. The queens are off, and okay, Magnus deciding that knights are more valuable than bishops in such a block. The right side of our screens there. Firouzja on the back foot.
But from a human perspective...
wow, 1 second for Alireza Firouzja. Look at the clock.
Oh.
Wow, Maxime with a killer tactic there. Now, without the white pawn, it's a draw, but he had a pawn left. Maxime takes the win.
And rook g8. That's it. Wow. Handshakes. It's Nepomniachtchi with a 2-2 lead.
2-0.
After that World Championship match, it's a bit of a bluff. He's saying to Maxime, like, are you hardworking enough? Maxime is saying, yes, I am.
Oof!
Draw. Draw. What saw the bar. Draw.
A big blunder by Alireza.
He's keeping his pawn on. He wants to use his pieces to force through the h-pawn, but now the black king is coming.
Yeah. The knights look tricky, but they've got no help. That rook on 8 isn't coming to its rescue. You know, you put that. What are the chances that Jan plays bishop d3? He finds it.
Yeah.
He
See,
plays
it's
it.
the best way to defend the pawn. If
He's
c3,
on
we have
fire.
time.
With his rook, but it's not going to be enough. The white king's going to defend everything.
This is some incredible form we are seeing by Jan Nepomniachtchi.
There we go.
Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Wow, fortune teller here. If that happens, James, we're going to. I don't know how we're going to celebrate, but that would be an automatic win against them.
Oh my gosh!
He blundered me.
Oh my goodness!
Look at Magnus.
Oh my.
This is how the semifinals is about to end.
He blundered me.
Magnus has seen this.
He didn't see
it. Oh my! What?
I'm done. I'm out. All right, y'all have a good one. All right,
Just do a
y'all.
zigzag onto that b5 square. If the checks follow, attacks the rook, attacks the f6 pawn in return.
Resignation. Whoa!
Magnus Carlsen takes the win. He books his place in the final of the Champions.